more in me, I must say. I didn't have to return. I know from my personal standpoint, I didn't even call to check on my kids for 4 or 5 days I was gone. So, therefore, I am recharged, ready to roll. As I said, full 4 hour show. We got a good guest for you guys today. And I'll be upfront about this probably will be the last time Chris and I discuss this topic moving forward.
Yeah, we've kicked it into the ground a few times.
I think we have, but and really the only reason why we're going to discuss Bob Melvin today is because he's coming on the show. This has been planned since the end of the offseason. Obviously, a whole bunch of things happened between the last time I saw him, and now you had the two meetings or a couple of meetings or however many meetings they had. Then you had the whole Giants situation. Then you had my short stint away, and so here we are. He'll join us at 2:40. Full disclosure, I probably will ask one question, and then because of what I do for the Padres organization, I'll step aside. I'll let Chris conduct the interview from there, but you will get to hear from Bob Melvin at some point, or not at some point, at 2:40 today.
This is something that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So let's be honest about that as well. I mean, he wants to come on. He wants to talk to the people in San Diego, and it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say. So we'll just all wait together for about 35 or 40 minutes, and no trick. No. It's a treat.
It's definitely
a treat for you out there.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, that's certainly.
I'm not sitting here in this stupid sailor's hat for nothing, Tony.
First of all, I walked in today. I got into the lobby, the main lobby. I look to my right, and I see Skraby with face paint on.
Yeah.
And so at that point, and he's got his. I'm surprised, but he definitely has his Patrick Willis jersey on.
Yeah.
Well, so maybe this is
he's
more
buying back into
thing.
The 49ers all of a sudden, he says.
Okay. Well, they just traded for Chase Young for a third-round pick.
So, were you out on him before that trade happened?
Technically, I put this together. Chris signed us up for costumes on Friday, and I didn't.
I'm glad you guys didn't let me know.
I'd let you know earlier, and you're like, it's too late in the day.
It's
too late in the day.
I have nothing.
So I was going to go out and get a costume. Then I went to the Halloween store. So expensive. So I'm walking the dog this morning, and I was thinking about Brock Purdy and how terrible he's been lately. And I was like, you know what I should be? The ghost of Brock Purdy. So here I am. Is that what
you are?
Yeah, without Brock Purdy jersey.
With a Patrick Willis jersey.
I know. This is, Halloween costumes are mostly about what you can do with what you already have. So I am the ghost of Brock Purdy.
Yeah. Well, yesterday he'd given up on the 49ers so badly, Tony. He got sick to his stomach and almost missed the show. He finally had to go in the other room and throw up. And once he was able to get whatever was inside of him out, he was able to do the show. But their performance on Sunday caused Skraby to be ill for quite some time yesterday.
Sure no bang Niner gang?
Not too much. No, he's not been in the
I guess we haven't even said that if you go on the cameras, you can see my face paint. That's what the whole costume is right here, is the face paint. So you can go to 97.3 The Fan SD on Twitter, or you can go to YouTube, 97.3 The Fan, just subscribe. You'll see Chris in his captain outfit. You'll see me in my Brock Purdy ghost outfit, and you'll see Tony acting like nothing is happening today.
Nothing's happening today. Other than Bob Melvin. We'll have Marcus McNeil on to discuss the latest week in NFL football. A lot going on in the NFL today. Some big trades.
Yeah.
The team in Washington is unloading all of their talent.
I wonder why. Like, is the season over for them? I mean, what are they, 3-5?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know how their season is over, but they're dropping players like bad habits right now. So, 49ers jump in there and get a, pretty big time pass rusher for a third round draft choice. I'm always amazed at how valuable draft choices are.
Seriously.
I mean, Chase Young was the number 2 overall pick in the draft?
3 years
just
ago,
a few years
4 years ago.
Now all he's worth is a third round pick. I'm surprised by that. They traded another pass rusher to the Chicago Bears. Not exactly sure why the Bears are acquiring anybody at this point after their performance on Sunday night against the Chargers, but Montez Sweat goes to the Bears, and Joshua Dobbs goes to the Vikings. So I think we're aiming a little higher for a quarterback replacement for Kirk Cousins. I had heard that they were trying to get Jameis Winston from the Saints, but no-go there for the Vikings, so they're going to have to replace Kirk Cousins with either what they have or with Joshua Dobbs. But the Viking season is definitely taking a turn for the worse.
Yeah, I mean, first you lose Justin Jefferson, maybe the most explosive wide receiver outside of Tyreek Hill, and then you lose Kirk Cousins, which I know there's usually a lot of jokes about Kirk Cousins. Say what you want. Certainly, it puts them in a better position than Dobbs does moving forward. And so
Kirk Cousins' statistics are remarkably good.
For
a guy that loses a lot of football games.
Right. He loses a lot of football games that matter, it seems like. He's a good quarterback in the league. I would say most teams would have him as a starter on their team. He just hasn't been able to win any big games.
And he never wins a primetime game.
That's
except if it's against the 49ers,
right?
last Monday night. Yeah, the Bills got a corner with a lot of secondary to injury, and they needed to pick somebody up to try to pick things up. Tre'Davious White was lost during the Miami game in Week 4, so Buffalo's trying to pick up something on defense.
They have to because they're decimated on the defense.
Their team
side.
has not looked very good the last month, ever really since Tre'Davious White left. It's amazing how important a great cornerback can be.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that works in the opposite direction for Miami, because they're going to be getting, they got Jalen Ramsey back for a bit of the game the other day, and he got an interception. They also have not had Xavier Howard on the other side. Miami's been without both of their cornerbacks. They better get back for this weekend because they have to play Kansas City. But NFL last night, Detroit just pounded on the Raiders. I knew Jimmy Garoppolo was not a great quarterback, but are you kidding me that you can go through an entire game and only get one pass completed to Devontae Adams?
And it wasn't like he wasn't open.
That's impossible. There were so many passes that he missed him by 5 yards.
Right.
Devontae Adams either needs to be Devontae Adams is paying for what he got, which was he just took the bag. He went for the biggest money he could get, but he went to a horrible. Was he traded?
He was
over
traded.
There?
He was traded, and the thing was, he accepted the trade because his partner, who he started his career with, basically at Fresno State, was his quarterback.
That's right.
That's changed when they moved to when they let Derek Carr go.
Yeah,
they bring in Garoppolo. It has been horrible. Apparently, it's reported that he asked for a trade, a change of scenery last month, and the Raiders were basically like, hell no.
We need to keep you so we can throw you one pass a game. Josh McDaniels, I've said it 100 times. He's the worst coach I've ever seen.
You've been saying it before he got the job.
Before he was the worst coach of all time, and now he really, truly is. If you design a game plan that, they only attempted one pass to Devontae Adams in the entire first half.
Right.
That's unforgivable for an NFL team with a player as good as that guy.
The other thing is they had the leading rusher in the NFL last year. He touches the ball 17 times. Yeah. That's not enough.
No.
It's not enough.
No, the Raiders are a mess.
They continue to be a lot of a mess. So we'll see how that unfolds. What else am I missing?
Did you watch any of the World Series while you were on vacation?
That's what I was missing. The World Series tied, or no, 2-1 at this point.
For Texas.
Rangers ahead. Now, some interesting things happened in last night's game. I thought the first two games were great. Yesterday's game was the first game that I felt like a mistake was made and it could have cost one team, and that team being the Diamondbacks. Now, there's a bunch of different views of how to look at the play with Christian Walker going through third base,
right?
Being thrown out by a guy who had, I think, over 20 assists.
Led the American League.
Yeah.
Adolis Garcia led the American League. Just like Fernando led the National League, Garcia was the best throwing right fielder in the American League.
And so a lot of scuttle about it. I'll just give you my perspective as a guy who used to play and have been in this position before. A lot of times you'll see the third base coach on a base hit get really far down the line. The reason for that is he wants to send you, but he wants to make sure to have the latest look possible to be able to change his mind and put his hands up. As a base runner, it's your responsibility to, if you're going to rely on the third base coach, you got to have your eyes on him at all time. And I get the idea that Christian Walker saw the you're going sign.
He was waving him.
Put his head down.
Yeah.
I got to go.
Yeah.
But I've always been taught as a base runner, first of all, you're not getting any faster putting your head down.
Christian Walker thought he was.
He thought he was. But the other thing is, it's because you aren't paying attention. Now, listen, I also have had chances on myself and seen other base runners take that look themselves. And so now the decision-making becomes on them.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. He was depending on Tony Perez-Chica, the third base coach for the Diamondbacks. Whether you believe Perez-Chica got his hands up late or not,
he got him up.
He got him up. And
Yeah.
it was, even if you have to slide into the ground at that point to stop your momentum and get back, that's better than what the other result was, which was you just continue to go forward.
Yeah.
You get thrown out. And I think a lot of people felt like that completely changed the inning.
Changed the complexion of the game. If I'm Christian Walker, I've also got to be thinking ahead on that play, Tony. And you're a Major League Baseball player who's a great base runner, so you know this way better than I do. But if you're on second base with nobody out, you got to check where the outfielders are, right?
Beforehand.
That's one of the things you got to know. So you should have had in your mind that base hit was probably going to be fielded by Garcia with a chance to throw you out. That's why he put his head down. He knew he was going to be close.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, don't take the chance. It's for you could have first and third with nobody out. I think going in, if there was 2 outs, you're going all the way. But with nobody out, I think you got to be 1,000% sure that you're going to score on that play. And you should have been waiting for the third base coach to hold you up. And that's where the mistake was by Walker.
Because the play is to his left, meaning it's not to left field, meaning he would have had to turn all the way around. He could have just peeked and seen the flight of the ball and made an executive decision on his own to get back.
Yeah.
And there would have been time. So are people accurate in saying that Tony Perez-Chica got his hands up late? Yes, they are accurate in that. Does that then mean that Christian Walker only needs to take the initial look before he's like, all right, he's waving me, let me get home?
Yeah.
I think in a World Series, it's the discretion. The runner has to make a discretion call at that point. So,
but he didn't make the right call. And I'll tell you who else didn't make the right call, and that's the home plate umpire, Alfonso Marquez. He really, I mean, I think it was Lowe who was up in the third inning, took an easy ball over the outside corner for strike 3, and Alfonso Marquez missed the call. Next pitch, Lowe got the base hit. He comes around to scoring a 2-out hit by Semien, followed by the home run by Seager. None of that might have happened had Alfonso Marquez made the right call. Now, I don't like to blame home plate umpires, and I'm also one of these guys who doesn't want the automatic balls and strikes umps. But when you have mistakes like that in a World Series that cost the team 3 runs, that's why it's going to eventually happen, because of stuff like that. It was a big miss. He also missed 2 calls on the leadoff hitter in the 9th inning. It looked like Moreno had walked to start the bottom of the 9th inning. Pitch was way outside, and Marquez called it a strike, brought him back on a 3-1 pitch. He ends up grounding out. Those are mistakes home plate umpires can't make in big moments like this, because that's going to make me have to put up with the
ABS,
the automatic strike zone. Yeah, that cost the Diamondbacks too. So
we're talking about the last inning or the 8th inning. What was that?
That was in the 9th. Leading off
inning.
the 9th inning, Moreno had a 3-1 count.
He also got a call in that at bat too.
He had one go his way and one not go his way, but you can't miss both calls. I mean, that's just bad balls and strikes umpiring by Alfonso Marquez, who apparently is one of the lower rated in balls and strikes by whatever
lower
analytics
rated, meaning good or bad?
Bad.
Okay.
He's lower rated in terms of balls and strikes, and a lot of people are being critical of Major League Baseball for making him the crew chief in the World Series. He had a bad game last night. Hey, everybody can have a bad day, but the Diamondbacks paid a little bit of the price for that too. So that was part of it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, let's get to break for a full 4 hours with you guys today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
And Kim crosses the plate.
You can listen to every Padres game along with all the music and news that San Diego needs right here on the Odyssey app. Download it today.
There are giants among us. They're the men and women building and sustaining our Navy's next generation submarines. If you're ready to go big, get on board. We build giants at buildsubmarines.com.
Some people like A and others like B. At BMW, we prefer X. Like the dynamic X3 meant for, and since every X-Range vehicle is packed with performance and versatility, you'll always get the best of X. The BMW X-Range. Your next X venture starts here.
See a SoCal BMW Center today for exceptional offers or visit SoCalBMW.com.
Hello, San Diego. I'm Cowabunga Dave from Coconut Pete's Surf Shop, and I have pertinent information.
When you have the urge and don't want to splurge, come beat the heat
At Coconut Pete's.
Get ready, California. It's Medicare annual enrollment period. So why not make enrolling easier with United Healthcare? Whether you choose our online tools or over-the-phone support, United Healthcare will help you compare options so you can choose a plan with confidence. This is Medicare made for California, trusted everywhere. Explore our wide range of plans by calling United Healthcare today at 1-855-MEET-UH.
Gwynn and Chris. 2:22 is the time. Welcome back to the program. Just getting underway for a Halloween Tuesday program, a Halloween spooktacular, as it were. Bob Melvin is going to be on the program, now the former manager of the Padres. Will join us in about 20 minutes, so make sure you tune in to hear what the former skipper has to say. Nice enough to want to come on and really talk to, I think, to the fans in San Diego as much as anything. And we will put his feet to the fire a little bit and find out what is on Bo Mel's mind here as he heads on up to San Francisco. Padres, of course, are still in search for a manager. And Tony Gwynn Jr., that whole thing has been very, very quiet. Skraby and I talked about this yesterday. There's rumors that Craig Counsell interviewed with the Mets and interviewed with the Guardians, and there's names that have popped up, and we heard Mike Schilt and we heard Ryan Flaherty. But other than just people making arbitrary lists of potential candidates, I don't know that the Padres, who they're interviewing, who they're not interviewing. This is very quiet, and I imagine this is the way the Padres wish to keep it, and A.J. Preller too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think this is a normal process.
Yeah.
I know people want a quick answer after how things have transpired, but you'd be silly to just make a rash, quick decision when you are actually trying to find a manager that can help this current team, as constructed, be able to reach their full potential.
Yeah.
And so however that needs to happen, whether it's, today, next week, a month from now, 2 months from now, you want to make the right decision ultimately. So I don't have a problem with it being they were able to weather the storm in terms of how everything went down. And once you do that, now you start to see things a little bit clearly. I think when you're in that storm, you can have the tendency to rush to do something.
Yeah.
They've obviously been able to keep their cool, and now they're going through the process that I think every team would go through the process the same way.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, and I said this to Skraby yesterday, Tony, it wouldn't surprise me if the new manager of the Padres is Mike Schilt. It would not surprise me if it's Ryan Flaherty, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's somebody whose name nobody has brought up yet.
I would agree with that.
I mean, that's just the way A.J. Preller does things. He's going to uncover, and overturn every stone and every rock and look for everybody and try to find the right mix. And hopefully this time they get it right. Obviously, Bob Melvin, that was a surprise 2 years ago, before he came in. Nobody had Bob Melvin on the radar. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Padres come up with something that is surprising. But I also think it's going to, whatever happens, they might even have something in mind right now. I don't think you'll hear an announcement until after the World Series, because that's normally the way baseball does it. You don't hear a lot of announcements during the World Series.
Not allowed to upstage the biggest show in
the Fall Classic. So Padre fans can bide your time, and we'll all wait together to see exactly what the next direction is for the Padres in terms of a manager. But, we're excited to have Bob Melvin on the show. Marcus McNeil will also join us to talk some football in the 3 o'clock hour today. We have all the rest of our regular segments coming up for you as well. Skraby is wearing a face paint today. I went with the skipper's cap.
We have a lot of questions about your costume on the stream.
Is this Gilligan's Island?
I would have assumed too, but Chris said different earlier.
What? People are thinking it's a Gilligan's Island.
Yes, but it's not.
Skipper.
Yes, it's something really obscure.
What do you mean? What
I thought
did
you said you were someone else. I don't remember.
I don't know. I'm just anybody going out for a yacht rock cruise on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
That's who I am. I'm not trying to be the skipper from Gilligan's Island.
Well, that would be the I guess the thing
if I was
people
trying
do.
to be the skipper from Gilligan's Island, I'd have a dark blue shirt on, and I'd at least try to play the part a little more closely. I would put on about 50 pounds as well.
You would put on
my
a
weight
fat
back
suit.
on. Yeah. No, I'm just trying to be Mr. Hoi Polloi and get ready for a nice little afternoon.
Trying to be who?
Hoi Polloi. Just some
Ahoy, hoy.
some arrogant, snobbish, rich guy going out for a sail on my 75-foot yacht on a Sunday afternoon.
Chris
That's
Chris
who
will
I'm
be
trying to be.
Sitting in the driver's chair, and his nasty crackers that he brings every day will be brought to him one by one and fed to him.
Get over the crackers.
No, I've convinced a few people to agree with me that the crackers.
A few people.
First of all,
a few
time
people?
out. The few people can't actually agree with you. They've never actually been in the room to smell the
No,
crackers.
the only person that semi-agreed with him is Braden, and he's making it seem like there's 100
also
people
Adam.
that have agreed with
And
him.
also Adam.
The two people who've actually been in the room.
Give me a break.
That would be a good person to ask.
No, you're right. But you made it seem as though like you've gotten a couple people like on the stream, like on Twitter.
Oh, no.
That's how it came on.
No, people that are actually not going to lie to me because they have no reason
Adam
to.
and Braden would definitely lie to you.
They would definitely lie to you. As Braden leaned in last week and tried himself a couple of crackers, you were saying that he didn't like them. So, you're
better watch out, Chris. I'm dead. I'm gonna haunt you.
Your dissecting of the situation is far off. And so anyway, it's our attempt at a little Halloween costuming here on the program today. We'll be here till 6 o'clock. So are there any other questions anybody has about the?
No, but I got to thank Dorothy from 96.5 Kixie. She was the one who did my makeup.
Shout out to Dorothy.
I honestly was just walking by and I'm like, hey, how do I do this? Like, I've never put on makeup before. And she goes, I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
And she made me look pretty good.
You forgot the red lipstick, to be honest
I'm not
with
putting
you.
Well, the red lipstick.
Where's the red lipstick?
Come on. I am a ghost. Ghosts don't wear lipstick.
Ghosts don't wear face paint either. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's a good point.
I'm just emulating the ghost.
So you got to emulate your lips.
Actually, I think another good costume I could be right now is Sting from WWE. That would be sweet.
I think you look like what is it, Rey Mysterio from WWE.
Oh yeah, but I would have to have an additional mask on.
Yeah, you would have to have a mask on, but you look a little like
Chris.
Rey Mysterio, I think. All right.
Tony, what are you? Oh,
I'm nothing.
Tony Gwynn Jr.
I'm me.
Yeah,
he's a dad.
Enough.
He's a dad.
Yeah.
He's enough for all of us. What are we doing for tonight? Are we giving away candy? Are we going trick-or-treating? What are we doing? Skraby, I'm concerned about you mostly.
Yeah, what are you doing, Skraby? Are you
mostly
giving candy?
I'm concerned about what you do on a Halloween evening.
No, I'm going to be here probably till like 7, trying to get this face paint off.
Okay, so you get home at what, 8?
8, yeah.
Yeah, so you got plenty of time to hand out candy.
The last time I handed out candy.
When's the last time you handed out candy?
Probably like 7 years ago.
Okay, so you're not trick-or-treating and you're not handing out candy.
No, I'm driving home and keeping my dog Lucky from being scared of the noises, of the ghouls and the goblins.
So you don't
around.
even participate in Halloween.
No, I think
this
it's
is the
Are you one of those ones who closes, turns off all the lights, and shuts down where you live so that kids have to walk by?
So you actually leave your lights on, people knock on your
Put a
door,
big
and
old
you're like,
bucket
hey.
outside.
Oh, so you give out candy, you just don't personally give it.
Yeah, Dum Dums this year is not a really great candy, but it was.
Is that what you're giving?
It was
Dum-Dums?
easy to grab, and I was just like, let me get.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
All right,
you should be ashamed.
You should, as usual.
What are you doing, Chris?
What we've got more. We bought out Walmart.
Sounds like he's doing something more than you're doing, Mr. Skraby.
What are you doing, Chris?
We bought out Walmart. We have like
Tons of
500 bags of candy at our house, and we'll be giving them all away. That's what we're doing.
A gas station in North County
What do you
gave me
call
a free king
the
size
Grinch
Snickers.
of Halloween?
Scrooge.
You, Skraby.
You.
No,
Tony
Skraby.
I'll be handing out candy. I'll be walking with my kids.
I'm
to
sorry.
Get candy.
I'm sorry.
What are you doing on Halloween?
I am going to go home and stay out of trouble.
Wow.
All right. Well, this show's getting into trouble if we don't pull out of it in a hurry. When we come back, we'll take a quick break. Stick around. Bob Melvin, the former manager of the Padres, is set to join us when we come back. So we'll all look forward to that as Gwynn and Chris continues.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Don't ever come to my house on Thanksgiving.
The Best Football Show with Brian Baldinger wraps up the world in 15 minutes so you can be smarter at the water cooler. Join Baldy as he explains the biggest stories from multiple vantage points and the ripple effect it has throughout football. He dissects the NFL's most exciting moments and top players as only a film junkie like himself can. Follow The Best Football Show with Brian Baldinger in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Gwynn and Chris, Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby. We will have Giants manager Bob Melvin on here shortly, and be able to kind of see what things look like moving forward. My Lakers got a victory last night. It was the second game I got to sit and watch after being disappointed here watching it in the studio. I had much better success watching it at my house.
2-2.
Yeah.
So far, every game has been right down to the wire, right? Or the last two.
No,
for
they
sure.
have. Yeah, for sure.
Sacramento, they lost a close game, and then
OT
they
game.
win a close game last night against Orlando. Orlando's much improved. The NBA is off to a weird start.
It is.
Other than Denver being 4-0,
Denver's the
everybody
only
else kind of jockeying for position right now.
Yeah, Denver's kind of the only one that looks like the real deal out to shoot. Now,
Yeah.
I don't think we mentioned that James Harden got traded from – he
No
got his
kidding.
wish. Traded
Yeah.
to the Clippers. I got to be honest. You look at what the lineup is going to look like on paper. I don't know how this makes them better.
I don't either.
You got Russell Westbrook. Looks like he's going to run the one. James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, who I mentioned because obviously he's an Aztec for life, but he's also been injured quite a bit. He's going to be banging with the likes of an Anthony Davis.
Playing power forward now.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder, and listen, he's a pretty stout dude. Having got a chance to meet him for the first time at Petco Park this year. He's not small, but I imagine the likes of Antetokounmpo or that kind of banging, I'm sure that's not the greatest thing for 6'7".
I think if you just look at the history of James Harden and you look at the history of the Clippers, how can this possibly go wrong?
Yeah. It's a good point.
It's going to go wrong.
All right, let's jump to the phone line. Joining us on Gwynn and Chris is current Giant manager, Bob Melvin. Bo Mel, how are you today?
All right. How are you guys?
We are well. I'll get right to it, Bo. I know, having got a chance to work with you over the last couple years and listening to your comments since you've taken the new job, you're not into the business of mudslinging. So I'll just ask you, in terms of the Giants, what made that a better fit for you?
Yeah, well, you're right about the mudslinging thing, and I feel awful about how that ended in San Diego, first of all. So, look, it's a lot was made at the end of the year. Certainly, there was a lot of drama surrounding the situation. We tried to work through it. Thought we did there toward the end, and then got together and had a meeting at spring training a few days after the season. AJ told me that the Giants had called, and what did I want to do? So, I tabled it really, and just wanted to talk about our situation going forward. I wanted to see it through, and as you know, I was committed to the Padres, and we started talking about some things that, were issues, to get to the point where we were at the time. And, it just didn't seem like it was going to get much better. It felt like, that the drama and the narrative that ended the season really just wasn't going to go away. And I don't think it was fair to the organization. I don't think it was fair to the team. I don't think it was fair to fans, anybody, because if you go into the next season and, something goes wrong and now it's going to pop up again, it just didn't feel like there was an end to it. So as we discussed it a little bit further, it just felt like maybe the best thing to do for everybody was listen to the Giants. And once I did, I was lucky enough to land somebody somewhere else, because there's only so many of these jobs, and being able to go home obviously had something to do with it.
Bob, what did you think about the way this whole thing kind of transpired? I mean, as it was happening and you were right in the midst of it all, was it something you kind of wish you could have changed that was happening, but there was no real way of controlling it all?
No, you're right. And it seemed like it got worse and worse when really, inside it wasn't as bad as it seemed. And look, I wouldn't trade my time in San Diego for anything. There are days on the baseball field, in the last couple of years that were my favorite, as much as a few of my favorite ever. So, it just felt like it was going to hard to get past what was being reported, and not being reported just from one, outlet, but it seemed like more and more as it went along.
Bob Melvin is with us, and he's now the manager of the Giants. It had to be a difficult season to manage the Padres. As you look back over this season, was there anything you would have done differently this year? Any changes you would have made that, I don't know, you've got to second guess a few hundred things, I would imagine, after a season like this goes the way it did.
Yeah, well, it's easy to do now. It's real time that it kind of got away from us a little bit, but obviously, and that was part of this whole thing, right? The magnitude of it was, the expectations of the team and who the personnel that we had going into that season. So, that had a lot to do with it. Was, everybody felt like we were supposed to be in a much better place, and as the season went along, we just couldn't get out of it. And, so everybody felt bad about where the team ended up.
Bo, you've been in two opposite end of the spectrum situations in terms of roster, with Oakland and then in San Diego. Do you take anything from your experience dealing with a roster of the likes that you had here in San Diego that you think will help you moving forward?
I think you try to take a little bit of everything and learn from every situation that you're in, and definitely that. But the year before, as bad as last year was, the year before was, it was fantastic. And one of the reasons I wanted to come on and I wanted to talk to you guys was to let everybody know and thank everybody for my time in San Diego. I mean, the people that covered, myself and the team, certainly the fans there. And I used to go out to the dugout 25 minutes before the game, half hour, 25 more minutes before the game, just so I could take in the scene every day. It was one of my favorite things about being in San Diego, was going out there, looking out at Gallagher Square. It's already packed, looking up, in the upper deck in left field and seeing that, people were starting to sit down there, and knowing it was just going to be another scene, another event, that the fans were just so supportive of that team. And you really didn't want to get immune to that or callous to it. So I used to do that every day. And then, obviously one of the great days of my baseball career was, when we beat the Dodgers, the reaction of the fans in the stands and around town and everything that day. And, Manny's reaction and everybody's reaction in the dugout, so forth. So as bad as it seemed in 23, 22 was really, really special. And you kind of have to balance that when you realize, now I'm moving on to another chapter in my career. And the San Diego one, even though it didn't end great, was very special.
Bob Melvin is with us, formerly the manager of the Padres, and so many things have been written and so many things have been said out there, Bo Mel. And, there's been reports even resurfaced that you didn't like Juan Soto on the team. And then we heard reports about Josh Hader only wanted to pitch certain innings. Was this a difficult team to manage, or are these reports just a little bit haywire?
You know what? I really don't want to get into narratives. And look, Juan Soto, I talked to Juan a few days ago. Soto knows how I feel about him. I know how Juan feels about me. And those are the most important things. And, as far as Josh goes, we communicated a lot over the course of his time there. And, Josh and I are in a good place too. So, if you answer one question, then it's going to lead to another one and another one and another one. And it just doesn't feel like the timing for it is now.
One thing that's crazy is that the Giants opened the season in San Diego. Did you?
I noticed that.
Did you notice that?
I did here recently.
How many millions of emotions do you think that's going to bring with it when you check into San Diego for that game?
Hey, I'm still trying to get through this process right now. I mean, saying goodbye to so many good people, in the San Diego, whether it's the players, whether it's the people that supported me from above. Peter Seidler is a fantastic man. Eric Rupner was so good to me. in that organization. AJ and I like AJ. He likes me. We just had some differences as far as, baseball philosophies were. But the players, all the players, and if I mention one, I need to mention them all. They were fantastic to me. So, look, I'm just trying to not be too overwhelmed with what's going on now to think about what opening day is going to feel like. But I did notice it when I looked at the schedule.
Bob, we really appreciate the time. Just going out, something you just want to, you kind of touched on a little bit, but speaking to the fans, that's why you wanted to come on. We wanted to give you the platform to come on and try to clear the air a little bit. It seems to me you've done that. You've addressed everything without getting too specific about all of this stuff, which we don't really need to know. But just kind of on your way out the door, kind of a last parting word, and then, we'll start rooting against you. That's all.
No, look, whoever gets to manage this team, San Diego going forward, is going to be blessed. It's a fantastic team and amongst a fan base like no other. And just being in San Diego and experiencing San Diego, man, what a joy that was. And I got to be around guys, the Hall of Fame guys, Trevor Hoffman, and baseball royalty, Tony Gwynn Jr. and his family, and it just, there's so many things to love about San Diego, and like I said, I wouldn't trade it for anything else. So another chapter going forward, but just kind of wanted to clarify what I was thinking, kind of where I was at, and so appreciative to everything that transpired there.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Bob. It was fun working with you the last couple of years. You've been nothing but great to us, and we do wish you the best in San Francisco. I'm just kidding, and we'll see you on opening day, if not before.
Thank you, Bo.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. There he goes, Bob Melvin, now the manager of the San Francisco Giants, checking in with us before he heads out the door for good. Look, he doesn't want to mudsling. I don't blame him. I don't think we need to know every little detail. It would be fun, I guess, in a perfect reality TV type of world, to know everything, every single thing that was said between AJ Preller and Bob Melvin. But I think he clarified it there. He said, I like AJ. He likes me. We just don't see eye to eye. We have philosophical differences when it comes to baseball. To me, that's all I need to know. I don't need to know exactly what everything is. He says he and Juan Soto have talked. I'm sure they're fine. I didn't believe a lot of those reports to begin with. Honestly, Bob Melvin's too smart to want to get rid of a guy like Juan Soto. This whole thing, the way it transpired, he knew it was kind of a tough deal as it was going on, Tony, but it was happening. And as he said, if you dig through the beginning of what he said there, they tried to work it out. They thought they had it worked out, but some things just kept coming up that weren't going to go away. The narrative wasn't going to change. And when all of that happened, it was best for him to, check in on what the Giants had to offer.
Yeah. Listen, they aren't the first two to have baseball philosophical differences. Generally speaking, that is why most relationships in the game don't work out. Because as we said, you got to have two sides that see it at least philosophically the same way. There might be little pieces that are different variants of, how one another feel about the game. But in order for a franchise to move in a direction that we all want the Padres to move in, they all have to be pulling in the same direction. And you have to have an honest conversation when you are talking about baseball philosophy. And if you're not on the same page, what good does it do to continue down a path when philosophically you're never going to merge or come close to it?
Yeah. Skraby, any thoughts that you had during that interview that you want to throw in?
Yes, I do. I think that he sounded like a guy, honestly, and this is my first thought, is a guy who really didn't want to leave, but had to go forward with his career in some way. And he sounded like he really did legitimately enjoy being here in San Diego. And I'm just bummed that it didn't work out, because I really wanted to see one more year with Bob Melvin at the helm. But We move forward.
We move forward. Last time, as I said, beginning of the show, this last time you're going to hear, at least on this show, us talking about this particular subject.
What?
Now
What's that's my everyday?
Yeah, I know it's your everyday, but it's not Chris and I's. At this point, now the focus becomes on who becomes the next manager of the Padres.
And hoping that they can find somebody that the organization and that manager can have some more similarities in their baseball philosophies and be able to work it out a little bit better and get the most out of this team. I guarantee you that's probably the biggest regret, and I wish I would have asked him what his biggest regret was, and I meant to. But, his biggest regret probably has to be the fact that this team just didn't reach the expectations that were set for it this year. For a manager like Bob Melvin, who's had so much success, I think that, we all went into this past season expecting great things, and I'm sure he did too.
Yeah, this is also me kind of reading into it a little bit, but you did ask about the reports of him wanting to trade Juan Soto and how it was to manage Josh Hader. And I got the feeling that those reports were kind of exaggerated a little bit. Like,
I don't believe
that Bo Mel wanted Juan Soto gone. That doesn't make sense to me.
All right. Well, it was a lot to unpack. We will give you an opportunity if you'd like. We got a daily gambit coming up, but if you want to chime in with what you heard, some of the thoughts that you have based on what Bob Melvin just had to say, you're more than welcome to join us. We'll squeeze some phone calls in 833-288-0973. And then, what is it?
833-288-0973. You know what? I felt really ridiculous during that interview on the cameras with my face paint while it's going on. If you're just tuning in,
I'm hoping he wasn't watching us interviewing.
And Chris,
while I was trying to be all serious with my skipper cap on over here.
I needed you to have like a corncob pipe while you're asking him this question.
yes, Mr. Melvin.
Yes, Mr. Melvin. Sir, can you tell us about the thing, sir?
I really wish he was watching on the stream while you guys were asking.
I'm glad he was.
Like,
I'm hopeful that he was.
I looked over for a second, forgot I had face paint on. I'm like, this is being recorded right now to be posted later.
I know. Like 1,000 people are going to download this later tonight because they're going to want to hear the interview with Bob Melvin, and they're going to look at these two idiots on camera.
Who's this jag with the face paint on asking these serious questions right now?
Yeah, that's us. That's us.
Yeah.
All right. All right. We still got.
We're still pizza doing. We
got the Daily Gambit coming up. We got some phone calls coming up. We'll get to what you have to say. I'm curious to hear some of your comments on that interview. Based on that interview, we'll have Marcus McNeil to talk about Week 8 of the National Football League. That's coming up in the 3:00 hour as well.
Oh, I got a quick 10-second topic that we could talk about.
What you got?
You remember Wally the support alligator?
He got into the last game. I just saw that.
No, he got into a Flyers game.
Flyers, that's what it was.
Look at this, Chris. Remember that he tried to get into a Phillies game with his owner, but the owner is holding him like a little baby. It's so cute.
You know what? That surprised me. They let Octopus in on the hockey game.
No, they don't let Octopus in. People sneak Octopus in. But look at this, Chris.
He didn't have to sneak the gator in, though.
Would you guys ask for a new seat if there's an alligator?
Are you going to give me a quick Mattress Mac update as well? Something else I could care less about? Wally the alligator
was discriminated against when he wasn't allowed in the Phillies game because he was an emotional support animal.
You know what I need if he's gonna sit next to me?
Look how cute he is.
Do you remember what was it? Swamp Kings? Swamp
Thing?
No, the show where they wrestle the alligators, they drag them in New Orleans. Or in Louisiana. You ain't seen this before?
You're watching something that wasn't available
I'm gonna look
in my area.
I'll have it for you when we come back and break. More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
Hey, welcome back into Gwynn and Chris. It is Chris Ello. It is Tony Gwynn Jr. It is Matt Skraby. It is Halloween. And that was no trick. That was a treat. Bob Melvin joined us here on the program just moments ago. The former skipper of the Padres, now heading up to San Francisco to become the new manager of the San Francisco Giants. Got a couple of phone calls. We'll give you a chance to chime in on what he said, what we said. But Daily Gambit will be after that. And I don't know. If we were hoping for something dramatic or something, earth-shattering, that wasn't the intention of the phone call. That wasn't the intention of the interview. So the intention of the interview was for Bob Melvin to be able to come on, talk to us, talk to you in San Diego, and get some of his thoughts on the way out the door. He shared with us what he would share with us, and I don't expect him to share any more than that at any other time. So, there you have it. We'll see where it goes from here. But like Tony said, man, the focus really needs to be now here about, our new manager, who it's going to be, and making sure that, the Padres get rolling and get into the 2024 season off on the right foot. So
yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot. I mean, everybody saw the proposed rumor trade with Juan Soto. We talked a little bit about it last week in terms of the Yankees. I think a lot of what happens now moving forward, all of it will have an impact on what this next season looks like. I mean, whoever the manager is, if you don't have a Juan Soto on your roster, that certainly changes things for you a little bit.
Yeah.
We know from reports early in the year that, at least reportedly, they want to get the payroll down to $200 million. So it's going to be hard to feel. It'll be easier to do that, I assume, without a guy like Juan Soto, who's expected to get, what do we say, 30 on $30 million in arbitration, I think it is his last, something around that number. I think it was a 30 or 35.
We're talking Juan Soto.
Yeah,
it's around 30. I think he's going to make like possibly 33 this year.
So
34.
I mean, if that report is true, I mean that easily gets you close to the number that you want. You got Blake Snell coming off the books. Should he not return? What is his market going to look like? Because that could also determine whether he returns to San Diego, which we know he wants to. Will the money be right? Go ahead, Skraby.
The estimate for this coming season, last year Juan Soto was paid $23 million. This year, the estimate, according to Spot Track, is $27 million. So not as high as the 30s, but that's also just an estimate.
I think that's going to be wrong. I think it's going to be.
I think it's going to be higher.
It's going to be about 30.
Who's his agent again?
Scotty the Shark Boras.
That's all we need to know. That's all we need to know.
They're saying on Spot Check, I like looking at these projections of contracts, but they're saying that he should make somewhere around 12 years, $400 million. That's what they're projecting for Juan Soto.
That has come down like $100 billion because he was.
Yeah, I was hearing 500.
Wasn't the National? Didn't they offer him like for 450?
I think it was 450. That was reported 450.
But then he's stuck with the Nationals.
He's stuck.
I don't know. They have a World Series flag flying over that ballpark.
Yeah, but not anytime soon, I don't think.
Well,
they got one.
They had one. I'd take that.
Okay, yes, they did have one. I will acknowledge that, Chris.
Very good. Let's go to Chris, another Chris out there in Escondido. Give him a chance to chime in here on Gwynn and Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hi, gentlemen. I'm awesome. How are you today?
Good, thanks.
Chris.
My immediate takeaway from that is what an absolute class act.
Thank you very much. Me or Bob Melvin? Oh, okay. Never mind.
Well, it goes without saying. Skraby's included in that one too.
Yeah,
man!
Wow,
that is high praise.
High praise.
High praise.
I thought I'd throw him a bone. He hasn't one thrown his way in a while.
That's
Thank
also
you,
true.
Chris.
That's
Thank
also
you,
true.
But honestly, I mean, you guys weren't easy on him. You asked him the questions we all wanted to know, and just couldn't have handled it with more plum. It just class act from A to Z. The other takeaway I did have when you asked him about Soto and Hader, he didn't. And again, I'm reading the tea leaves. He didn't deny it. He immediately said, "I don't want to get into whatever the term mudslinging or whatever." And if I just think about the last 18 months of Bob Melvin, some of the comments he's made. And again, I'm reading my own tea leaves here, but I remember one of the first things he said last year in spring training was it was going to take 40 to 50 guys on our roster to be a successful team. And towards the end of, and I'm connecting that one with toward the end of this year, when he talked a couple times about Fernando and the amount of games he played, and Juan Soto and the amount of games he played, and every time he talked about that, he made a comment was, because of the situation, we had to play these guys a lot more than I wanted to. And again, if I'm reading his tea leaves, to me that meant I didn't have the number of players I wanted to do the things the way I like to manage. And if that goes back to the Juan Soto trade, I don't think it would have been personal, but he may have been on board saying, hey, if you can get me 4 or 5 guys and give me some more flexibility with that lineup, that may have been where that rumor came from. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Good stuff, Chris. Thanks for the kind
Chris.
words, and appreciate you checking in with us. We'll get another one in, Bob in San Diego. Thanks, Bob, for calling. How are you?
Hey, doing good, Chris. Wanted to say a quote about the short thing about Juan Soto. So it was my impression this year that he was not a clutch player. I just don't remember a lot of headlines saying something to the effect of, Juan Soto wins the game for the Padres. And so I decided to kind of look into it. He had 30 games where he hit a home run. He had 3 times he hit 2, so he ended up with 33. Good numbers. He had good numbers, right? RBIs and all that. Of those 30 games where he hit a home run, only 5 of them really mattered. The rest of them were all games in which we won or lost by 5 or more runs. He really wasn't a factor in that. He had the same kind of percentage in terms of, when he had an RBI and how many RBIs he had. Just was not a guy that came through, what do you call it? Late close, right? How good are you late? How good are you when we're close? And I don't think Juan Soto was the kind of clutch player that's worth all that money, because he's putting up gaudy numbers in garbage time and not when we need it. So I wanted to say that and just kind of get a reaction from you guys. So I'll just hang up and listen to your reaction.
All right,
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. My reaction is that even though I'm not the world's biggest Juan Soto fan, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think he had a lot more impact than you're saying he did. I think he struggled early in the season. The end of the season, the last 2 or 3 months, he was just fabulous. And these guys can't control exactly when they hit their 30 home runs. I mean, if you're going to say only 5 of them mattered, I don't know how many of Ronald Acuña's home runs this year, quote, mattered. How many of them came in a 14-2 blowout? You could sit there and go through that with every single player and probably find a way to make it not seem important. Even though I'm not the world's biggest Juan Soto fan, Tony, I can't deny the guy's talent, and I think you're kind of trying to deny his talent, Bob. So.
The tough part is for the Padres as a whole this year. They weren't good in 1-run games as a whole, and that's everybody.
Yeah.
But how much of what Juan Soto did contributed into all those wins that they won by 5 runs or more, right? Those are still wins at the end of the day. When are those homers hit? Are they? And listen, maybe Bob did the research and saw that in those 5-run or more wins, the homers came when the score was already out of line. I don't know, but I think it's. When a team struggles the way the Padres did this year, everybody is going to look not clutch. But
yeah, that's a good point, Tony.
The reality is the numbers at the end don't lie, because I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to give away at bats in garbage time when the game is not mattering than it is to give away at bats when the game matters. And so when you watch Juan Soto, the one thing that I admire about him is no matter what the score is, this dude is not giving away an at bat ever. I mean, he struggled early, so it might have seemed like he was giving at bats away then, but I would say from May on, June on, end of May on, he didn't give away any at bats. And that's why he was able to bounce back after such a horrendously slow start and finish the numbers. We're at the numbers where he was at.
His numbers were pretty massive by the end of the season. I mean, like I said, I was anti Juan Soto in a lot of instances throughout the season, but you look at the end result, it's pretty impressive. I hate to say.
Yeah.
To say. All right. Magic in San Diego. Always good to hear from you, Magic. Thanks for calling in. Hello.
Happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween, Magic.
2 things real quick. And Tony, I wanted to get the last, give you something on the Lakers. But first of all, I wanted to commend you guys on the interview with Bob, because one thing I really like about you guys' show, and all the shows too, is you guys keep it professional, and this is not a junk radio station. And I just respect Mr. Melvin for coming on and telling you his side of the story. We didn't need to hear any junk. That's private. That belongs to those two people, and we may never know what really went on. And it's get on with what's going to happen next year. And you guys, I've told you, I'm not a Padre fan. I want to become one. So I'm looking forward to what's going to happen next year. So I respect you guys for keeping this very professional. And Tony, for you getting that interview, kudos to you. Now on to your and my Lakers.
Yeah.
Like I did the Padres last year. The Padres were 19-19. I quit watching them. I didn't watch them the rest of the year. I quit going to the games. I'm done watching the Lakers.
Already?
The Lakers, I'm done because Tony, I want to tell you something. That little run they had last year was fake, kind of like what the Padres did at the end of the year. They can't keep up with any young teams in the West. The Clippers got much better. They can't beat Denver. They can't guard a three-point shot. They would need a missile to stop the three-point shot that these teams make on them. So I'm done with them. And I have to give much respect to my boy Kobe. If Kobe was alive, he would have a fit because he would not let this team play the way they have the past 2 years. So you guys have a good Halloween, and I'll listen to it on the other end.
Magic's
hilarious.
He sounds like all of my Laker family members.
You know what? I'm in the same boat. I've watched the Bulls for 4 games. They're 2-2. They stink. They're going nowhere this year.
Any team.
So that is spoken like a true fan.
That's exactly
if Magic
right.
is, he sounds just like I do with my team right now, and it's 2-2.
As you guys know, I'm in the eternal optimist,
Yeah.
right? So even in my family, as all of us are big Laker fans, I'm usually the one that is trying to find
Keep
reason
hope alive,
on
yeah.
why this is going to be great, as I did with the Padres all last season. Why this is going to turn out wonderful. Now, listen, Magic makes a lot of good points. They are going to struggle against the young teams. Magic being one of those teams, they're not even like at the top tier of the young teams either.
Oklahoma City's a good young team. There's a lot of them out there.
And they're going to have to find a way, as they did last night, to manage to win games without LeBron playing dumb minutes. I mean, the game before in Sacramento, he played up. I think he played the same amount of minutes as his age.
And he played 30 and he played 35 minutes in their other game when they beat their second game of the year. I forget who that was against, but he played way over the limit in that game too. So he's doing
got
that.
his finger up.
Yes,
I don't know what it
yes,
means.
sir. Yes, Mr. Ghost.
Actually, on the stream, everybody's calling me a raccoon or a panda now. So.
It's a much better description than the ghost of Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I know.
I will say that.
And I'm sweating a little
A
bit in this.
raccoon or a panda.
I didn't realize that this makeup is really itchy, and every time I go to itch my face, I remember that I have makeup on, so I can't, or else it ruins it. And B, this jersey is really hot too, so I'm just sweating.
The temperature's kind of hot in here, just to be sweet.
Is it?
Real quick. We got a daily gamut to get you next, but want to read you guys some tweets that just came down in terms of the Padres managerial search.
Yes.
Benji Gill, Phil Nevin, and this is according to Dennis Lynn, and Eric Chavez are among the internal candidates who are in various stages of the interview process.
All
for the
local
Padres.
ties.
Yes, managerial open sources tell Britt Gorielli and Dennis Lynn, Mike Schilt and Ryan Flaherty continue to be viewed as the favorites for the job. Britt then tweeted on her own, Phil Nevin could interview later this week. Gill is in the preliminary discussions, and Chavez no longer expected to be in the mix. All of those guys, San Diego ties. Eric Chavez, Mount Carmel alum.
Benji Gill, I think, went to either Chula Vista or one of those down there.
He's been a very popular
we heard his name a lot.
Yeah.
We've heard his name a lot. And obviously Phil Nevin,
former Padre,
lives here in Poway. Shout out to the Nevin family. I know his son's getting married this weekend. So a lot going on in the Nevin family, including seems like a candidate for this job. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys updated on that as we get more info.
Very good. We'll step aside to get some winners and losers. Daily Gambit is coming up when Gwynn and Chris resumes after traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Tannick.
Guys, I hate to tell you, but our Halloween afternoon is off to a rocky start. Southbound side of the 5 right
ready to go. Skraby, are you ready?
I'm trying.
This face paint has got you all kinds of
Yeah,
jacked
you're
up
all
right
messed
now.
up over there. And
I
you
am
know what's
not.
going to happen anytime you have face paint on? It starts itching, as you said.
Yeah, it's
and you
starting
start
to itch.
rubbing it.
I'm trying
to
not
rub
to.
the itch,
I'm
and
trying
then the
not to.
face paint starts getting displaced all over.
Don't
your,
worry, I have
all over
more.
your face.
I'm going to
You
put
look
back
like
on.
I am.
a broke
You know what? If
Ultimate
you've
Warrior
tuned
now.
in and you've seen, what'd you say?
I said he looks like a broke Ultimate Warrior right now.
You're going to look even weirder and worse at about 5:30 this afternoon.
No,
Because by that time, they
When you
face paint will be all
hope
over them.
that it gets
It'll be a
warm enough
mess.
in here where you start to sweat, so it can like start leaking into
Yeah.
your beard.
I don't know that my pores will ever sweat again with this makeup on because it is thick.
Yeah.
When she put it on, I'm like, am I getting plastered? Like, is this a plaster face or something? I don't have any idea what you're putting on me, but thank you, Dorothy.
All right, let's get to the Daily Gambit.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. Anthony on the stream wanted to know, do I think the 49ers should trade Brock Purdy for Jimmy G? I'd rather have Brock Purdy at this point.
Really?
No, but
I'm just saying, Brock Purdy has looked very, very average the last 3 games.
he's looked like a Mr. Irrelevant pick the last 3 games.
He hasn't looked as
He's thrown he had two
Yeah.
games with two
Yeah.
fourth quarter interceptions each. 4 fourth quarter interceptions in the last 2 weeks.
Jimmy G overthrew Devontae Adams
Yes,
by
he-
30 yards twice.
Yes.
And you know what? To be honest, the first
Brock
interception
Purdy's
he threw,
not doing that.
the first interception he threw in the first quarter, the one
Oh,
near
that
the
was
end zone,
pretty bad. That was
he
pretty bad.
underthrew that one.
Yeah.
If he would have overthrew him like he did the first two,
Might have
Devontae
caught
Adams
that.
might have caught that.
Yeah, it was horrendous quarterbacking by Jimmy G last night.
It was. But you know what? There are some passes that Devontae Adams can catch. And if you're going to complain about
Can catch.
What game
How's
did
he
you
supposed
watch?
to catch those ones that land in
The
the
one
first
over-
row of the seats?
No, those ones are obviously not catchable. The one that he had to, it was for a first down late in the game, and he had to just kind of slightly go towards his right side to pick it, but he didn't. He turned up field first, and then the touchdown that he didn't have against the Bears, but he caught it and he didn't catch it.
I'll tell you one
blame this
thing.
on Devontae,
I'll tell you
huh?
one thing. They can trade Devontae Adams to my team as long as they don't trade Jimmy G with him.
Okay. Last night, the Pacers. Oh, I had a sports equinox. Tony, did you know about the sports equinox yesterday? It's when all 4 major sports have a game on
I
the same
did
day.
know this the only day this year it'll
Yes.
happen.
Yep.
So I did a sports equinox parlay, and I started with the Pacers beating the Bulls, and then that's where the parlay ended because the Bulls beat the Pacers.
So
Yeah,
I gotta tell you guys a
You're
story.
out.
I have a buddy that is into parlays, and I had no idea. And so he asked me this weekend to help him with his parlays.
Oh no.
Chris, I tell you, we thought Crazy was dumb for the 3 game parlays. My guy
How many?
is doing 10 team.
10 team?
What? Why?
I don't know.
That's so difficult.
I don't know. I don't know.
10 team
10
parlay.
team. I was like, you know that there is almost 0 chance of any of this happening.
Yeah.
You're going to lose probably 4 or 5 games in this 10.
Yeah. And even if you lose just one,
It's over.
you've still lost. You get it 90% and you get nothing.
Nothing.
And you'll like it.
And of course, it came to fruition because parlays don't work.
They really don't.
The losing
3
came to
team
fruition.
parlays don't work. So
2 team parlays don't even
Exactly.
work.
Exactly.
They are difficult.
I do like it when I get DMs from people telling me and sending me their tickets of their 8-leg parlay that they hit. But my question back is, how many times did you try a parlay? And I never get an answer.
My
So-
friend Scott also told me last night that he played a sports equinox parlay.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he missed it on the hockey game because he took Vegas minus a goal and a half, and they only beat Montreal by 1.
Ah, that's why I
So
went
he
money
didn't
line.
come through either. But I want to thank Scott. Can I take a second to thank this guy, Scott?
Sure.
Unbelievable. Went to dinner with this guy last night. We walk into the restaurant. First thing he says to me is, "Are you taping any games? Because if you are, I don't want to give you any scores."
How about that? Good
I
friend.
thought that was the nicest thing anyone's
you need
ever said to
You
me.
need to go to dinner with him and his fam all the time.
That was the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. And I said, yes, I'm taping all the games. And he said, all right, no worries.
I'm taping all the games. I'm just going to have to
How
be
about-
up
how
until
about
3
that?
in the morning to
How
watch
about,
them
how
all.
about that?
So-
No worries. He didn't say, oh, man, you're watching all. He just said, no worries.
Yeah, he
You
just
won't hear a
didn't
word
give me
from
the scores of any of the games. It was terrific.
How about that?
Everybody
name?
out there, Scott.
You made the mistake, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. He made
Shout
no
out to
mistake
Scott.
at all. We love Scott. And we don't
Live
like
your life,
you.
bro.
We
Live
don't
your
like
life.
you for being anti-Scott.
I'm not anti-Scott.
You are too.
I'm
Guys trying to be
anti-feeding
nice.
into your weird
It's not
sports
weird.
viewing
It's
habits.
not weird.
What is weird
only
about wanting
lovers
to go
of
to
sports understand, not likers of sports.
facts?
My feelings would be hurt, but I'm a ghost, so it's not. They're not going to be hurt. Lions and Raiders last night. Over under total points 46.5. Chris said over. I said under. It was under. The Lions should have had about 50 points, but they only scored 26, so it was a 40-point total there. And then Jahmyr Gibbs rushing and receiving 103.5 yards total.
He beat that in about the first 5 minutes
He
of the
did.
game.
Over, under. Chris went over. I went under. He did. He was incredible last night.
197 total yards.
I don't
Crazy.
see that happening again this season, but
Well, I don't either because he won't be playing against me in fantasy football again this season. But he was last night.
We're going to get into that at 420. Ben Higgins still in the survivor pool, by the way.
Good.
Next was Max Scherzer, 14.5 outs, over under. Chris and I both went under because we have no faith in Max Scherzer, and we were right to do that.
Well,
He
it was
only
the
went
line
3
drive
I was
that
about to
hit
say,
him that knocked him out of that game.
The problem, this is the problem with being old, man. Like a typical one-hop bouncer off
That's
your
all
back
it was.
when you're 30 or younger, even 32 or younger.
Shake it off.
You shake it off.
Shake
you got,
it
you
off.
got a little bruise, but 35 and over, it
Yeah.
hits you in your back.
Couldn't pitch anymore.
You don't know it's a
He
coin
was
flip.
done. He was
It's
done.
literally a coin flip.
There is a great gif of him going around like trying to figure out where the heck his back is, how his back is feeling before he's going to go out to pitch. Does not look like he's comfortable whatsoever.
He looked like he was in a lot
By
of
the way,
pain.
Tony, how would you rate your team, the Denver Broncos, for playing Shake It Off to Travis Kelce as they walked off the field?
Let's ride.
Thumbs up.
Oh, gosh.
Thumbs up.
2 more to go. Denver Nuggets last night, 8.5-point favorites. Denver did win the game, but they only won by 8. So Chris and I
Yeah, that's
lost
a
this
hang with
bet,
them.
110-102.
Yeah.
Blackhawks last night and the Coyotes over under 6 total goals in the game. Chris and I both went over, definitely not expecting the Coyotes to win 8-1 last night.
Blackhawks scored first and then gave up 8
Really?
straight goals. Yeah,
So
it
how's
was a
the?
nightmare.
I keep asking this, but I don't get a straight answer. How's the Connor Bedard doing?
He's got 4 goals
All right.
through 8 games or 9
Oh, that's
games.
pretty good
So
then.
I think he's doing all right.
All right.
He hasn't been unbelievable, but he hasn't been bad.
I got nothing today. So.
All right, here we go tonight. Arizona, Texas, 9.5 runs is the over-under. We should know before we bet that Adolis Garcia will not be in the lineup tonight for the Rangers, out with an oblique strain.
Oh.
Bruce Bochy reveals that there is a chance the Rangers will remove Garcia from the World Series roster.
That's
Whoa.
not good.
That
And
is
he may not get to
huge.
play in the rest of the series. That has not yet been done. Bochy said, though, it's not great news.
That is,
Thanks,
there's no
Coach.
series after this one. So,
Yeah,
man,
if he can't go, that's a huge piece of the Texas attack.
Huge.
Because of that, I'll go under
Huge.
tonight.
Yeah.
I'll go under because he's not in the game. Scraby,
9, you said?
9.5. Last night there was only 4.
What was it? 3-1.
3-1, yeah.
I'm gonna go under.
Under also, okay. Tony, what do you want to go?
Who's pitching?
Well, bullpen for
Oh, it's a bullpen
Arizona
day?
and Andrew Heaney /
Yeah,
bullpen
I'm
for
going
Texas.
over.
You're
I'm
going
going
over
over.
in a bullpen day. Okay. Andrew Heaney is starting. I just mentioned that 9.5 outs is all they expect him to get.
1 out in the
So
4th.
1 out in the 4th, he'll go over. Scraby, what about you? Andrew Heaney.
Who does he pitch for? I'm just
He pitches
kidding. I'm
for
just
Texas.
kidding.
No, that's understandable. I don't think everybody knows that.
I'm a fantasy baseball champion. I knew that.
Man, there's no way to not walk into that with him. He finds a way.
I'm going to go over.
Go over. Okay. Tony? Andrew Heaney. Does he get it out in the 4th inning?
No.
No, he's under. I think he's going to go over also for some reason. I just think Bucci's going to try to stay with him a little bit. College football, Toledo undefeated in the MAC.
Wow, Maction.
Taking on Buffalo. This is the Buffalo, whatever they are, not the Buffalo Bills.
I think they're the Buffalo Bison.
This is where
I don't know what they are.
No,
Khalid Mack came from, right?
Yes, Khalid Mack went there. He's not playing in this game, though.
No,
so
he's not.
Toledo's favored by 15 points at home. Tony.
Toledo.
Toledo to cover. Good teams win. Great teams cover. I'll say Toledo. Skraby, you want the 15 points?
Everybody's going Toledo?
Yeah. Try to make a decision
It's
today.
the Buffalo Bulls, by the way.
Bulls, that's what they are, yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Bulls, Bills, same thing.
I'm going to go Toledo.
You're going to go, we're all going Toledo in that game. All right.
Bulls.
One more. Clippers at home. Orlando, 6 points. Clippers are favored. James Harden's not ready to play for the Clippers tonight, is he?
I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, the guy complained so much to get there. Why not play? This story really bothered me this morning as I was shopping for my makeup.
Can only imagine.
As I was shopping for my makeup.
It came down as I was shopping for the makeup, and I was like, this guy really? He got his way.
Again,
this is an unfair advantage that the LA teams have, I think.
Because everybody wants to live in LA.
There. Well, no, because these teams have to play 2 games there. The Lakers last night, now Orlando has to come right back tonight.
They don't always have back-to-backs.
It happens quite often. Same team plays back-to-back nights. I'll take the Clippers to blow them out.
Yeah,
Skraby.
Who are they playing against?
Orlando, 6 points.
Magic aren't very good, huh?
Magic 2-1. Played the Lakers to a standstill last night. Lost on a late 3-pointer.
Going with the Magic.
Goes with the Magic. All right, Magic, the listener will be happy with that. Tony, what'd you say, Clippers?
Yeah, Clippers. This is the second I have a back-to-back.
Yeah,
this is not going to be good.
That's not fair. And the Clippers get the advantage tonight. Sometimes it flips the other way, and the Lakers get the advantage. All right, we got to take a break. We're way past due. But Marcus McNeil talking NFL when we come back on Gwynn and Chris.
The biggest fan contest is returning on November 13th.
3:40 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Sello, Matt Skraby. Adolis Garcia out of the lineup tonight. May be out for the rest of the World Series, and that is a big blow for the Rangers.
That changes everything, and if Arizona wins the World Series 3 years from now, nobody's going to remember, hey, Adolis Garcia was out of the lineup. Just the Diamondbacks will be World Series champs. This is a big opportunity for them. I mean, I think they could win the series even with him in the lineup. I mean, he's only got 8 home runs and 22 RBIs this postseason. You're going to take him out of there? That's huge.
And to this point, the biggest play of the series, throwing out Christian Walker at home plate. So you not only you lose the offensive threat he clearly led the league in American League assists. He's a threat defensively as well. So
you know who's in for him?
Who?
How about this?
Freddie?
Travis Jankowski, your guy. Yeah.
Listen, Travis,
former Padre,
got a chance to speak to him when they came to San Diego, and this man raved about playing for a manager for the first time in his career that just understood what it was to be in that role. That I call him Freddie. You guys know him as Travis.
Now, why do you call him Freddie?
That's his nickname.
Again?
That's his nickname.
And do we know why? We don't remember.
I think Jesse has said it on the air multiple times.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact story.
Right.
But he had a great year in that role this year. I have a feeling he's going to have an impact. It's not going to be a Garcia type impact, but he's going to do some things, and we'll see how the Rangers cover this up. It's not an easy. This isn't a piece that you're going to be able to feel for. Adolis Garcia had a tremendous year all the way around. He's having a tremendous playoffs, tremendous World Series. So we'll see how the Rangers.
This could be a big blow to them, though.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens tonight.
We'll see if they're able to put a patch on it. All right, let's get to traffic, and then Marcus McNeil.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Hey guys, take the Halloween masks off while you're driving, okay? We've had way too many accidents on the road so far. Southbound side of the 5 before the King Freeway, an accident blocking the 2 left lanes. Also collision on eastbound King Freeway. This is before the 125 vehicle in the center Vide, one over to the right shoulder. Also collision on southbound 125 before Otay Lakes. Appears to be blocking middle lanes. In the North County, going to find a crash on the southbound side of the 15. This is right before Center City Parkway. A couple vehicles over the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And indeed, it's time to talk with a former Charger Pro Bowl left tackle, our NFL insider. Marcus McNeil joins us here to wrap up Week 8 of the National Football League. And Marcus, trade deadline today. The San Francisco 49ers get themselves a big-time pass rusher, Chase Young from the Washington Commanders. How much does he help, and how much trouble would he have been for you to block back in the day?
Oh, man, to be honest, I don't think he would have been that bad. It was the shorter, smaller guys that's hard to get your hands on.
Okay.
It always gave me problems. But, he would have been a good challenge. He kind of reminded me of a DeMarcus Ware from my day and time. And, we had some good battles, but I was still able to block him pretty well. But he's going to be a problem for anybody's offensive line, especially with Bosa on the other side of him.
Talk about that a little bit. What kind of problems does having two defensive ends on opposite sides like that cause for an offensive line? What kind of issues are you kind of game planning for when you have two guys of their caliber on the same line?
Well, it's tough for offenses because usually whenever you got a great pass rusher, you can always slide the line his way and get him some extra help, whether that's, the guard helping them or, maybe having an extra tight end or some sort of back over there where you can get them some extra help. But what happens when you slide the line to whichever direction, the other offensive tackle is left with the one-on-one. So, when you have two great pass rushers, now it doesn't matter which way you go. You can't go right. You can't go left. It really don't matter. You're going to have a one-on-one matchup that probably favors that defense. And that's what San Fran got now.
If you're an offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, which poison are you picking here? Are you sliding it to Bosa's side or are you sliding it to Young's side?
I'm sliding it the most Bosa. I mean, we're talking about Yeah, Bosa. I mean, we talk about a defensive player of the year in and out in a year. Why Chase Young has a great upside to him. He's still a young player, great athletic ability. He hasn't proven himself as a pass rusher or one who's going to disrupt the game with a whole bunch of sacks yet. He's just a strong defensive end. But Bosa, he just goes crazy at any point in time of the game. You got to watch him.
Let's talk a little bit about the Vikings and where they sit right now. I mean, losing Kirk Cousins to a torn Achilles, the offensive line can't feel bad because it wasn't like anybody got to him and he got hurt that way. He just got injured making a bad step. But what does this do to a football team when they lose their leader like this? I know the Vikings traded for Joshua Dobbs today, but to lose your quarterback, the guy who led you to the division title last year, led you to 3 straight wins this year, how much heart does that take out of a football team?
Oh, man, that takes a lot of heart out of you, especially when you lose another player after losing Jefferson, who's a dynamic player. Like that. I think at this point in time, they had to bring in a quarterback like Dobbs because they're just trying to salvage the season. But that's a big blow to the locker room whenever you lose your quarterback, that general on the field that everybody looks at whenever the offense goes out there.
Now, I think on a different subject here, Marcus, wide receivers position. I think coming into the year, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase are probably the 2 top names that most people would gravitate to. However, I think this year there's a guy who's emerging as not a new guy, but he seems to be putting himself on that level, if not higher. I'm thinking the wide receiver for the Eagles right now,
AJ Brown. Yeah, he's having a big year.
Who do you think the best wide receiver is in the league right now?
Ooh, that's a good pick right there, Tony. I mean, when you see him making some of these one-hand grabs, how physical he is, how big and strong he is, like he just looks like a dominant force. But Tyreek Hill, man, it's like 1 and 2 right now. But Tyreek hitting 1,000 so early in the season, I mean, that ain't been done since the 40s. So I'm one of those guys who like to give them their flowers while they're here. And I know everybody always talks about quarterbacks being league MVPs. But if he continues down this pace, man, we really going to have to talk about this guy for a league MVP if he putting up 2,000 yards in a season at receiver.
Most guys who are that fast aren't built necessarily for football. And I know Tyreek Hill is small, but he seems to be stout for a wide receiver of his speed. Is that kind of what separates him in terms of the speed guys that have come before him?
I definitely think it does. Whenever you have a stocky build to you, it's called him stocky. Like he looks like he kind of swollen. It's harder for guys to when they grab you because you're short and have that good center of balance. It's hard for them to get you on the ground. And then don't forget they still trying to catch up to you in the first place. So it's just a hard matchup for anybody. But when you just add like how strong he looks with how fast he is, it's just a mismatch every week. And it's like, it's coming, but can't nobody do nothing. He's going to have an automatic 100 yards.
Yeah, it seems like he catches one bomb every game. In fact, I wonder why they don't call that bomb play more often. I mean, it doesn't seem like anybody can ever cover him. Marcus McNeil is with us. The Kansas City Chiefs, it's one game. They lose in Denver. Very surprising. They don't even get into the end zone against a team that gave up 70 points earlier this season. Is there anything wrong with the Chiefs, or if we just chalk this up to one off week that Taylor Swift couldn't go to the game?
I mean, even though we might want to blame it on Taylor not making it to the game, from what they say, Patrick Mahomes had the flu. And coming up in my era, everybody, had to see Michael Jordan play with the flu. So I was expecting him to come out with his best Michael Jordan routine where maybe Travis is carrying him off the field at the end of victory, but he just didn't look like that the whole game, man. You could tell that he was just a little bit off, man. I think that sickness, especially coming through something like that, and you're in the Mile High Stadium where, it's tough to breathe anyway. I think it was just a little bit too much for him to overcome.
Now,
but they'll be all right.
Now, the Chiefs are one thing. 49ers, though, and we talked a little bit about them today, making the deal for Chase Young. They are reeling right now. 3 straight losses. this last one was tough in particular because Brock Purdy, for the second straight game, just did not look good at all. I mean, what are we to make of these 3 straight losses from the San Francisco 49ers?
Well, I was one of the ones that was crowning the 49ers Super Bowl champs early in the year. I jumped on that bandwagon early, but this is really what the league is. You have injuries that happen, you have ups and downs and adversity that teams are going to have to get by. So this is a great test for Brock Purdy in his young career, and it's going to be a tell if he's going to be that quarterback for the 49ers or is he just another guy, a jag as they call him.
Just another guy. What about the Dallas Cowboys? I can't figure them out. I mean, they beat the Giants. I think it was 40-0. They beat the Rams. They were ahead 36-3 in that game. When they blow somebody out, they beat the Jets in a blowout. And then the rest of the time, they look mediocre to lousy. It seems like the Cowboys are one of those teams when things are going their way, they're unstoppable. When things are not going their way, they can't fight through it, Marcus. It seems like they're missing something to take that next step. And, on certain Sundays like this last week, they look unbeatable, though.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to the quarterback position, man. Dak, whenever we're talking about the Cowboys being good, it's when Dak is playing and he's hitting those plays in rhythm and it's just no adversity going on. But it seems like in the situation where there is adversity or the spotlight gets really big, we're waiting for him to show up in those moments. They got all the pieces. They got great receivers, running backs, good offensive line, defensive stellar. Like, you have everything. Now we just have to have that quarterback being consistent all year long for him.
One last thing, Marcus, the AFC this week, Miami plays Kansas City. So I guess we'll find something out, but those 2 teams are both 6-2. Baltimore is 6-2. Now Jacksonville has joined the crew. They are 6-2. Who do you like in this conference heading into the second half of the season?
Oh man, I think you can't go wrong with those first 2 guys, the Chiefs and Miami. They proven themselves their offense to be dynamic against pretty much any defense. Miami went up against Philly already. The Chiefs do what they want to on offense. The other 2 teams, Baltimore historically has always been a good team in the AFC, but we want to see them actually come through the whole year and make it. But Jacksonville, I think that's one of the teams that kind of just have a good year all of a sudden out of nowhere. But they're solid too. But those first 2 teams, KC and Miami, you can't go wrong with them. And
your Chargers kept Brandon Staley's job the other night.
Did.
So I guess that's a good thing, or maybe it's a bad thing. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Hey, he came out there with the sweet shades. He was like, man, I got to make a change. This beer is not working. So I'm just glad they got a win. But, we got to look at who they were playing, the Chicago Bears and a quarterback who's getting his second start from a Division II school. No shots at the Division II schools or anything, but I just don't think he had enough experience to come into SoFi and beat the Chargers with all that talent.
Yeah. All right, Marcus. Well, we appreciate your talent as always. Thanks so much for joining us this week. Look forward to catching up with you next week, talking some National Football League. Appreciate the time as always.
Always, man. I'll check you guys later. Have a great one.
Marcus McNeil, as always, outstanding, talking NFL with him. We mentioned the trade the 49ers made for the Washington Commanders defensive end Chase Young. Not the only trade today. Is it today trade deadline day, or is it
already passed?
Yeah,
it's already passed.
Yeah.
So
it's not even the only trade on the defensive line.
Yeah,
for
Montez Sweat also traded from the Commanders, but going to the Chicago Bears. Rasul Douglas, cornerback, goes from Green Bay. He's a pretty good cornerback too. Goes to the Buffalo Bills, who really needed that. Detroit Lions have just picked up wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones from the Cleveland Browns. So those are some of the trades. Vikings got a quarterback, Joshua Dobbs.
They needed one.
However, they also announced today that Jaron Hall, their rookie from BYU, will make the start this Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. So there you have that. Who's
Can't
going
wait
out?
to not watch that game.
No, you'll be watching it because it'll be part of your Scott Hansen Entertainment.
No, that's true.
You
But
know?
Scott Hansen, he's been going away from some of those bad games lately, and I appreciate it.
Scott Hansen treats all games equally.
I appreciate Scott. This is the first year I've actually got a chance to watch Scott on
he's
a
good.
consistent basis.
He is good.
He's fantastic.
He is, and I love it when he goes to the witching hour.
Got to have the red zone, baby.
That's right.
It's the only thing I got, baby.
All right,
That's right.
We got a witching 2 hours left on Gwynn and Chris on Halloween. Stick around.
Chris vs. the Fans, 833-288-0973.
Into the 4 o'clock hour, we roll. Chris versus the fans coming your way here shortly. Nice qualifying prize for you. If, of course, you could beat Mr. Ello. Now, I missed the last 2 days, I believe, of Chris versus the fans. How's the questions going, Skraby? You were getting taxed for like 2 weeks every day.
I gave up on the questions and I just started asking things that were around the room.
No, he
and
started
on TV.
asking questions about horror movies.
Yes.
So,
Tony, do you know? And there's actually a question
I
here.
can see that he hasn't really elaborated on these questions. So it's only going to take about 2 contestants before we are already in the bonus round.
See, the problem has
it was
been-
easy for him to stump me on horror movies, though.
Well, there's a few more in here. So
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
this could be your day, ladies and gentlemen.
It could be. It could be.
Now, does this Halloween is today?
Yeah.
The last time you played this was
Yesterday.
Friday? Oh, you played yesterday. Okay,
Yeah.
so some of these questions came from yesterday.
Some of these questions came from yesterday. Also, have we talked about what the qualification is yet?
No, we have
I
not.
just don't want to repeat it, but you know what? It is Halloween, and we are going to package a pair of tickets to Chris Stapleton at Petco Park on March 2nd. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. on Ticketmaster.com. So you will be qualified for a trip to Vegas, as well as you will actually win those Chris Stapleton tickets. Chris,
Well,
you
all
wanna-
right. Well, all right.
Good stuff.
Let's play some Chris versus the fan.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
I gotta say, it is really weird as the pregame show just came out for Game 4 of the World Series. It's really weird to see Arizona's ballpark with the roof open, because
You never see the roof open there
see
'cause
it-
it's too hot.
Right, 2 times
when
in
you're
really
there.
2 months out of the year.
Yeah.
If this time of year
In April. That'd be
after that, it gets too hot. That thing is never open. So it's quite funny to see the Fox show come on today and A-Rod's on, and you actually see real sunlight in the stadium. So
peeking into the ballpark.
Whoa, A-Rod has like 5 different women surrounding him on TV right now. That was strange.
now I know that doesn't sound all that crazy. I mean, it sounds crazy out of Skraby's mouth, but they're all makeup artists, and they just caught a shot.
That's
at
how
him.
many
5?
it takes to make these guys look good.
Apparently,
Jeez.
A-Rod needs 5.
Just understand that we do this whole YouTube stream thing with no makeup artists. All right,
no,
you're getting the
Dorothy-
real us.
Apparently,
Except for Skraby.
Dorothy's our makeup artist.
Except for Skraby today.
Because I'm still getting the raccoon. I'm not a raccoon,
You-
everybody.
dude, I mean, now that it's been said, raccoon, and what was the other one?
Panda.
Yeah, I mean, both of those
Yeah.
you got.
I
It's
am
hard
the
to
ghost
disagree with that.
of Brock Purdy.
You're not a ghost just because somebody put a Patrick Willis 49er jersey on you.
Yeah,
What kind of ghost are you, by the
Brock
way?
Purdy.
Brock Purdy
scary ghost.
wears 13, and you have what 52 on. Make it make sense,
I
please.
told you that sometimes best Halloween costumes are the ones made out of stuff you already have, so you have to use your imagination for the rest of it.
I'm using my imagination, and I'm seeing a raccoon.
Thanks, Chris.
Or panda.
Real quick, I wanted to get this in on the stream, but if you don't know, we talked to Bob Melvin a little bit earlier. 97.3thefansd.com is where you can go. But SD Yeg on the YouTube stream says, listen to the Bowmel interview in the car. That was badass. Great job, boys. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right,
Very good.
Let's play.
Yeah, let's do that.
First contestant
Yeah.
of the day, James. Come on down.
Do. Oh wait, we didn't tell the I didn't say the
You
rules
know-
or anything. Hold on, James.
What is you waiting for, raccoon?
I hate you. You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get the question wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. If you're a first-time player, let us know before you get into the first question, and you will get that question.
I'm
for
a little
free.
rusty. It's been a few days off. Forgot about the playing part.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. First contestant, James. Once again, come on down.
All right, James, you're up.
Hey, happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween,
James. Good luck.
First question. Which horror movie character wears a hockey mask?
Jason Voorhees.
Nice.
Jason Voorhees.
He even went with last
and
name.
last name.
Can you give me a middle name, please, or at least a middle initial?
I don't know. I
You
don't know
don't
if
need
he
to
has
know.
one.
You don't need to
Yesterday I
know.
wore a new Jason shirt, and so
A new Jason shirt. What does
yeah,
that
it
look
was
like?
the many faces.
He was very
of Jason.
proud of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't any big deal for him. Don't worry.
Hey, Captain, pipe down.
Question number 2.
Get this raccoon off my ship.
What did you just say? The ship?
My
with
ship.
a P.
Okay, good.
What city is ESPN's main campus located?
ESPN main campus, Los Angeles.
LA.
LA.
Stay there.
That's gonna be Bristol,
Oh
Connecticut.
wow. Okay, don't stay there.
Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
Sorry,
is
James. Happy Halloween.
the main
Happy
reason-
Halloween to you, though, buddy.
The main reason why Senior Gwynn didn't last very long on the ESPN tour.
It's because they made him go back there all the time.
Bristol. He was like,
Did you ever go there?
I did not.
I've never been there.
I've
either.
never been there, but he didn't like going there. So that's
so
why
that
he was
was
like, I'm
the-
done.
What did
Yeah.
he do for them?
He was an analyst.
He was an analyst. He was on Baseball Tonight.
analyst,
But
yeah.
why would? Oh, he was
No,
on
not
Baseball Tonight.
Not
Okay.
Baseball Tonight. He did Baseball Tonight a couple times, but he
Yeah.
was one of the main.
But once he kept going to
Like-
Bristol, he was like,
no,
nah,
in-game?
I'm good.
not
Yeah,
gonna
like
continue.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
One of the games
which
of the
was
week.
weird. They would send him to Bristol though.
Well, you would go to Bristol. to
Back
be-
then, they did not have the LA studio.
right?
That's only been in the last,
Okay.
decade or so.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to our next contestant, Josh. Welcome to Gwynn and Chris. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you guys.
Hey, Josh.
All right, here we go. First question. Herman Munster
Oh, what an athlete.
looks like what horror character?
I have no idea.
Oh, Josh.
Okay, let me ask it this way.
That wasn't.
What
ahead.
kind of monster is Herman Munster?
I'm just gonna go with Frankenstein.
Ah,
Oh!
got it.
Good enough.
Nice job.
Question number
Sometimes
2.
Herman
it's
Munster,
lucky to
though.
be good.
Yeah,
Herman
be like
Munster,
that.
a much better athlete, though. He can punt a football 2 city blocks.
at least I've
least.
seen that.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
I'm surprised he never
I
played in the
think
NFL.
he like broke the football too when he punted it. Like
Herman
it
Munster's
exploded.
unbelievable.
and then he
Unbelievable.
laughed too.
Here we go. Question number 2. Odell Beckham Jr. has played for 4 teams in his career. Can you give me 3 of them?
The New York Giants, the Cleveland Browns, and the Baltimore Ravens.
Very
All
good.
right, nice job.
And he won a Super Bowl with the Rams.
Yes, he did.
That's his
Yes,
other
he
one.
did.
Very good.
Here we go. Question number 3.
Here we are.
What National League team refused to play the Boston Americans in 1904, causing the World Series to be canceled?
Ooh. It's a little before my time right
Yeah,
there.
I feel you on
Not
this one.
before my time.
No,
So you better get this, Josh.
Chris is probably there.
I was there.
I'm going to go with the Braves.
The Braves. Good answer. Just at least it was a
I feel like Chris is setting us up for failure here.
no, I don't know this.
You really don't?
What was it? Which National League team?
Yes,
And it was who were they going to play?
the Boston Americans.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. Boston played Pittsburgh in the 1903 World
See,
Series.
here we go.
The 1904, I don't know that it was Pittsburgh. I'm going to say the New York Giants. What?
Sorry, I meant to do this.
Oh,
What? What? I don't know any of this.
Here we go, getting my voice
New
wrong
York
again.
Giants, here we come.
This is what it sounds like when a raccoon
It's
tries to
impersonation.
do an impersonation. That's right.
Here we go. Our next contestant.
That really annoyed me.
Craig, welcome
Not
to the
only
show.
did he get the New York right, but he got the Giants right.
got it all right.
Like,
And
all
I
of
love
it.
how he said it. But 1903, it
Yeah.
was the Pirates that they faced.
That's right.
No one should know that.
I was there. You
Oh, no,
guys
okay,
going to
all
make
right,
fun of me. I'm going to get it right.
I forgot.
That's
I
true.
forgot. Here
Craig,
we go.
welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Here we go, Craig. First
Hello. Oh, Skraby, your LO impersonation is really getting good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, he's getting really quite good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we go. First question.
Awesome.
What movie is Michael Myers the villain in?
Dun dun dun.
Michael Myers?
Yeah.
Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Is it? What? Is it Halloween?
Okay, there it is.
There you go.
Boom.
You got
just
it.
say it. Just say
Almost
it.
seemed too easy,
Yeah,
right? Here we
yeah.
go. Question number 2. What state is Philip Rivers now coaching high school football in?
Oh, geez. Did he move back to South Carolina?
South Carolina.
Stay there.
Hello for the state.
I forgot where he went to college all of a sudden. I think that's where he would be. No, where did he go to college? I'll just say Tennessee. I don't remember.
Tennessee.
Wow.
That is not correct. He went to NC State.
Yeah.
NC
first,
State, yeah.
But he is coaching high school football in Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama. That was my other
Alabama.
guess.
Here we go.
By the way, I just got something on the chat saying that Chris looks like Popeye. So let's
Popeye.
Hey, he's got big enough forearms to fit
No
the
calves.
Popeye. Ain't good. His calves are.
Do you
I
like
need the.
spinach?
Popeye didn't have big calves.
I
though.
need the pork pie pipe or whatever that is.
The corn cob pipe.
Yes, that
I
corn
tell
cob
you,
pipe.
Pie.
Popeye,
Yeah, whatever I said.
Popeye used to make spinach look like candy. Like the way he used to
He
enjoy
downed it.
definitely made
It's
me
a very
want to try
weird thing for him
spinach.
to do it. Yeah, me too. But it's a very weird
It
thing.
was,
for
it
him.
was very short lived though for me personally.
Can we do that one more time, Chris?
No.
It
was pretty poor.
Let's go to our next contestant.
No, we saw her on Craig. He's on number 3.
Oh,
Yeah, Craig's going for the title.
Craig,
Don't
I
give up on him
apologize,
yet.
man. I wasn't
Sorry,
trying to
Craig,
kick
I'm
you
there
off the
for
show.
you.
Here you
Here
go,
we
Craig.
go. Question number 3. What is the only team to have both won and lost a World Series in 3 different home cities? This is going to be a difficult question to dissect. I'll read it one more time. What is the only team to have both won and lost a World Series in 3 different cities?
I should say that.
Yeah, how should you reword this, Greg?
I should say that this team is. I'm just gonna say it. I'll give you one leg of this whole thing. No, I
You
can't do
give
that.
him one
I
leg.
can't
This
do
is the
that.
3rd question, bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't.
Yeah,
give you a
you're just
hint.
going to
I
have to
tried.
dissect this crazy question.
I think I got an idea. I'm going to go with the Braves.
Very good. You dissected
Oh my
it.
goodness!
Hey!
Nice job, Craig.
Stay there, Craig.
I tried to kick you off before you even got a chance to answer the 3rd
That's
question.
right.
And then you were able to cipher through Skraby's question there to get it right. The Braves have both won and lost a World Series in 3 home cities: Boston, Milwaukee, and Atlanta.
All right. Very good, Scrape. Good question for you.
It was.
You worded it poorly, but it was a
Terribly.
good question.
But it was a
I hate
fantastic
when he
question.
says that because
It's the truth. You knew it was. That's why you tried
he
to
got it
explain
right. You didn't need to say anything.
But that's
Chris.
why you
got
tried
it
to
right.
explain it to him again after I read it.
You almost had to give him the answer trying to explain the question. That tells me there's something wrong with the question in the first place.
Chris, Andy on the stream is saying, "Aren't you captain of Captain and Tennille? Isn't that what you told me?"
I was hoping that Tony would dress up as Tennille, but it didn't work
I don't
out.
even know what Tennille
I
looks
have
like.
no idea what we're talking about.
Captain
Tennille.
and Tennille had a famous song in the mid-'70s called Love Will Keep Us Together, and Captain used to wear one of these hats.
I think I have seen that.
Yeah, and Tony
I'm
Tennille had
looking at
the
him.
bowl haircut and
There's
kind of the
shot I was
straight,
dressing up
the
like
straight
Tennille.
hair bowl haircut. She was a pretty good looker back in the day.
Pretty
All
good
right.
looker.
Yeah, Tony, I think you would have been good as Tony Tennille.
Tony Tennille.
Yeah, it would've been
Let's
funny.
go on and slide away to break here.
While you still can.
Odyssey Fantasy Football Update
Ooh,
on the other
I like
side.
that.
For Gwynn and Chris.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by California Coast.
Good on Craig out there. He took down Chris versus the Fans today, won himself some Chris Stapleton tickets, also getting himself qualified for a chance to win that grand prize, a 2-night stay in Las Vegas. We'll have another round of Chris versus the Fans tomorrow. If you're just tuning in, Bob Melvin, Padres' former skipper, was on the program a little earlier today. If you want to hear that interview, you can just go to YouTube. You can watch it streamed there. Just search 97.3 The Fan, or you can go to our webpage at 97.3thefansd.com, and you can listen to that interview at your leisure and in its entirety. A couple of quick news notes for you. We told you earlier that Adolis Garcia not in the Texas Rangers lineup tonight with an oblique strain. Even worse news for the Texas Rangers. He is out for the rest of the series. The Rangers have taken him off the World Series roster. That is a huge blow to Texas, which has a 2-1 lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Max Scherzer also going to be off the World Series roster. Although I don't know that that's as big of a loss. It's another, it's a Hall of Fame arm, not pitching great right now. But anyway, Texas will have to get it in.
You lose an everyday lineup guy versus a pitcher who's probably going to throw once, maybe twice more in this series.
Yeah, but they're both gone.
Both gone.
For Bruce Bochy, he'll have to find a way to get it done with Travis Jankowski and others. Game 4 starts in Arizona in about 35 minutes. The other quick news item before we check our fantasy sports, and I really don't care if we ever get to that. College football playoff rankings finally, after all this time, have come out for the first time. And we have a new number 1 team in the nation. Ohio State sits atop the college football playoff rankings, followed by Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State. So if the playoffs were to be today, those would be your 4 playoff teams. Conveniently left out are Washington and Oregon from the Pac-12. They are numbers 5 and 6. Just looking at that and that alone, what it tells me, Tony, is that you need to have a good preseason ranking and then don't play anybody, and you can get yourself to the college football playoff. Ohio State is the only team of the top 3 that has even beaten a ranked opponent this year.
No, Florida State beat LSU.
No, they're 4th. I'm saying of the top 3.
Oh, top 3. Gotcha.
Yes, Ohio State beat Notre Dame and beat Penn State. Georgia has beaten no one. Michigan has beaten no one. Yet, if the playoff were tomorrow, they would both be in it.
So
I just think that's laughable.
You said Ohio State is the only one that's played.
Of the top 3. Florida State is 4th. Yeah. They beat LSU.
This is our problem with these rankings.
This is the whole problem.
Year.
How can you put Georgia and Michigan in based on the schedules they've played?
Ahead of Florida State, ahead of Washington.
It's just ridiculous. Washington beat a really good Oregon team. Florida State beat a top 15 team in LSU. Georgia and Michigan have played and beaten no one. Yeah. They should just be eliminated from consideration for a top 4 spot until they play somebody.
They shouldn't be ahead of Washington or Florida State.
No, they should not. And they are, and that's my biggest problem. Here's another problem I have, although this is a minor one. The Mountain West doesn't really deserve a ton of respect, but Air Force is 8-0 right now. They're ranked 25th. Behind 6 SC teams, 6 Pac-12 teams, and 5 teams from the Big 12. It doesn't matter what the Mountain West Conference does. You could win and that's the problem that the Aztecs have. I know they're not having a good year, but the problem the Aztecs have is even if they were 8-0, they'd barely be getting a ripple in the national consciousness anyway.
Yeah, doing the same things, and not even by choice in the San Diego State's case, right? And still would be getting penalized
just because they're in the Mountain West. I mean, Air Force is having a really good season. They deserve to at least be 22nd. Right. You know what I mean? Show them a little love. But nope, sorry, you're 25th. You're barely lucky to be in the poll at all. If you're wondering about the rest of the top 10, Oregon 6, Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss. That's how it shakes out in college football. All right, Skraby, I'll put you in charge of the fantasy football update.
Skraby, did you win this? Did you win this week?
Since you're having such a great season and you love to pat yourself on the back, try not to break your arm and go ahead.
This little T-Rex arms can't get to his
back. He can't pat himself
I
too
got
hard.
long arms.
T-Rex
T-Rex arms. Look at this. I can touch
That was worth the whole segment right there.
See?
Just to hear that.
I'm doing it into the camera right now. I'm patting myself on the back.
He's patting his neck right now. That is back.
Yeah. Stop hating Georgia, Chris. That's from Jacob.
Hey,
I don't think that Georgia's a bad team. I'm sure they're very good. Just go play somebody. If you're that good, play somebody.
Not to mention they're going to play somebody because of their conference.
Yes,
They have to. So
and if they win one game,
they can move up.
They'll go all the way to number 1,
right,
with a 1-0 record.
All right, so let's start here with our Odyssey or our Gwynn and Chris Survivor pool that we
Why did
started
I
at the
start with
beginning
that
of the year.
stupid one? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one's been
Oh my
over
gosh.
for Tony for a while.
I'm sorry.
We still have
that was not supposed to be out loud. It was supposed to be in my head. Sorry.
We still have 10 members in the Odyssey Survivor League, and Ben Higgins is still in
Go
it.
ahead, Ben.
I believe Ben picked the Chargers this week to move on, and so he's still in it. And like I said, 10 other people.
10
Chris,
people out of about 130.
Yeah, Chris, Tony, myself, not in it anymore.
No, we're not.
The biggest fan contest is returning. Visit 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. Register your name and then listen at 9:15 a.m., 11:30 a.m., and 5 p.m. during each fan talk show. If you hear your name called, call us back within 10 minutes and you'll qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets to a 2024 Padres game in the Odyssey Suite to watch a Padres game with your friends and all of the fans hosts.
Did you know that you were going to be making an appearance at that, Tony?
What was I making an appearance at?
Yeah, see? I didn't think they'd have cleared it with Tony yet.
No, well, Tony's a little busy doing
Yeah,
stuff
he's
during
busy.
games.
You're busy. You're
But,
right. You're good.
the biggest fan contest, the winner of it is going to get a grand prize of 20 tickets to a 2024 Padres game in the Odyssey Suite.
And we're all going to be there with them.
Oh, I'm sure I'll stop by and
There you
introduce
go.
myself, say hello.
Attaboy.
You know, I usually got a little time.
I'll take
before
over
games.
for you while you're gone.
No, I want to keep my
Jesse,
job.
what about
Yeah.
that swing
Take
over
over
there? What about that swing, Jess?
I don't
hold
know
on,
what you're.
hold on.
What are you talking about, Mr. Raccoon?
Okay, I am dressed as the ghost of Brock Purdy today, but it's being confused as a million other things.
Raccoon,
not a million other things, just raccoon.
Just those two.
Yeah.
Panda,
And raccoon.
Yeah. So this week, Chris was been begging for someone to challenge me in the fantasy rankings, and someone did challenge me. Our old friend Ron Davis. He scored 138 points, but I scored 157.98 points. Now I am leading the league in points by 80. I'm 7-1, and I'm looking pretty good. Now, really, what I want to talk about here is the difference in luck between Tony's team and between Chris's team, because Chris has the 4th most points scored against or scored for him. He's scored the 4th most points in the league.
Yeah.
Tony, you're like maybe last. You're
No, a third to last. But
you're
not
third
last.
to last.
Not last.
But you've only given up
ran off-
911 points. And
I
you've won
ran
4 in a
out
row.
4 straight.
You have, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
But Chris's team is scoring unbelievable amounts of points and losing every single week. And I'm usually pretty mean to Chris, but I'll say right now, Chris, I'm sorry. You have had the worst luck this year.
Well, last night I had a 50-point lead going into Monday Night Football.
With Amon-Ra St. Brown in your
and I
lineup.
still lost because Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta both scored touchdowns and had big games. So I lost a 50-point lead. It's my 4th loss this year of 6 points or less. So just not my
brutal.
year. What can I tell you? I'm going to show up for the rest of the season and see what happens, but has not gone my way time in and time out.
It has not. It has
No.
not. But Tony is sitting at 5-3
Yeah, Tony's
right
on
now.
a hot streak, 4 in a row. You're on a hot streak, 7 in a row. So you guys just have fun. I'll sit idly by and
I'm
root
coming
for
for you,
root for the
Scrape.
Dolphins.
I've
That's
moved,
all I
coming
have.
for me?
moved in right behind you there, buddy.
Too bad I'm 7-1 and
Yeah.
scored literally 300
Just-
more points than you.
Just like the 49ers, we know that a losing streak
The
is
fall
I
is
will
it's
say,
around the corner.
I don't
It's
want to
coming.
fully believe it until I've actually made the playoffs, because the last couple of years, weird things have happened to
You
me.
have a 99% chance. Of
I had
making
one
the
last year
playoffs.
too, and guess what? I
You
didn't make the playoffs. So
Oh.
I hate all those like Chris. sometimes sits in here in the break and just goes off about how the projections are so stupid and this guy's going to have 54.3 yards. But I hate the projections in fantasy football. It doesn't make any sense.
Silly.
They are silly.
Jahmyr Gibbs was projected for 103 yards. So if that's what he got,
you would have won.
I win.
Yeah.
So let's change it and make me win instead of him getting 197 yards, since the projections are so darn important.
Yeah. I feel you on that, man.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It was another tough loss, but I mean, I've had so many this year, I'm kind of used to it. We'll take a break. Big Five's coming up next. More Gwynn and Chris is on the way.
Previously on the John Cantera Show.
With Bob Miller.
I tell you guys, I had a Butterfinger for the first time in a long time. Forget how good those are.
Huh. Still good after all these years.
Delicious. All right. Sorry, I just wanted to
Glad you liked it.
What do you like about the Butterfinger?
Are you testing the candy out before you give it out?
I am.
All right.
I always
Fair enough.
I mean, I think, as my parents used to tell me all the time, got to make sure there's no poison in them. So
Nice of you.
I got to be the guinea pig, and that's what I'm doing.
Well, you better. Can you imagine he hands out before every piece of candy he hands out, he takes a bite of it.
He's like, one for
Here you
me,
go.
one for
Here
you.
you go, youngster.
You don't need this
Thanks
whole
for
thing.
dropping by. Just trying to protect you.
4:39 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Bad Skraby. Happy Halloween to everybody. And if you're watching on the stream, my two partners fully in the Halloween spirit today. I don't know exactly which Skraby is, raccoon, panda, whatever you want to go with.
Never mind.
I'm either Judge Smales from Caddyshack, or I'm the captain from Captain and Tennille.
Yeah.
Or some people think I'm the captain on Gilligan's Island, but I'm really not that one.
Popeye, we've heard today.
Popeye. I heard an aging David Lee Roth as well. I don't know what that has to do with my sailing cap.
I mean, David
but
Lee Roth isn't like the youngest person in the world.
Yeah, right.
He's
Probably
as
about
old
the
as
same
you.
age as me. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we
Skraby
haven't
was trying to get it a little shot there, and you kind of stole his shine by agreeing with it.
I don't like it when you guys validate me when I'm trying to make fun of you. We had a pretty good costume contest here in the building
Earlier today?
Yeah, earlier today they had like a bunch of
Who was the best
food.
one?
Well,
There's food here?
Yeah, there's food in the fridge.
There's still food there.
Yeah.
You gotta
Senor
venture
Grebby.
out.
You know what? I'm being good today.
Senor
Gotta
Grebby's.
venture out once in a while. My
You were
friend.
being good today.
I am.
It's like when there is food provided, Chris, Tony doesn't want it. But when there's no food, he wants food.
I can't
It's the
explain. it.
damnedest thing, Skraby. I can't figure it out.
I can't.
I forget
explain
where.
it.
Oh, so one of our sales guys, Rick, he dressed up as Slash from Guns N' Roses, and he looked
Spot on.
Spot on. So he won the prize. But then we had another salesperson. She dressed up as an astronaut, and she did it up. We had a couple, Dorothy actually, who did my makeup, who's on Kixie 96.5. She had a dinosaur, an inflatable dinosaur that she was walking
riding?
around with.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was a cow that was an inflatable cow. That was
I've
pretty
seen some
cool.
good ones on Instagram today. Lane Johnson, the offensive lineman for the Eagles, dressed up as his teammate, Jason Kelsey. That was pretty funny. I saw DeAndre Jordan I don't know who DeAndre Jordan plays for now.
I don't either.
He's in the
He's
NBA.
been on a different team every year for the last 15 years.
He was on Denver last year when they won the title. I'm not sure if he's still there. He dressed up as the one and only Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing
I
Taylor
saw-
Swift these days, it seems like.
A father and son do an immaculate grid. Adam sent me this in the break. It was like they had all the immaculate grid players and everything, but then their faces were two of the little grid
that's good.
things. I also saw a couple do. One of them was Randy Johnson, and the other was the bird.
I
that he
saw
hit.
that one.
I saw that one too, but I didn't get it because I didn't make.
No,
it.
the lady was a bird, right?
Yeah, but should have been. She should have been more disheveled because he destroyed the bird.
Yeah, she needed a little bit of blood on
They
there.
needed some feathers.
Well,
like,
I'm not
off.
trying to get disgusting about it, but yeah, she needed some blood and some problems.
Some problems.
I felt.
Yeah, people are being pretty creative for this whole thing, and I was surprised at how many people here got into great costumes. So kudos to you, Odyssey.
Check out Joe Musgroves on his IG page. This
All
is
right,
pretty
let's
funny.
see.
I can't quite repeat what they are,
Oh,
but it's a
no.
good one.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right, I'm going to check while we get into the big five.
Let's do it.
First traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
You guys are really disappointing me on these roads. Let's start with the North County. Crash on southbound 15 just past Deer Springs Road, not showing if lanes are blocked. Coastline ride, South 5, right before Cassidy Street. A collision looks like that may be in the clearing stage. Also going to find on the southbound side of the 15 before Adams Avenue an accident. That's all over to the right shoulder. Traveling on westbound 8 just before Main Street. We have reports of a crash involving several vehicles. Looks like that is blocking the fast lane. Traveling on the eastbound King Freeway just past 28th Street. Collision over to the right shoulder. Up ahead, still clearing an accident right before the 125. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop
what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's get right into it because we already talked about Wally Alligator getting into a Flyers game.
Number 5.
So we don't need to talk about that, but we do need to talk about the rumors out there about Juan Soto right now. And I saw someone tweet yesterday, I believe it was Ryan Phillips tweeting this, who has co-hosted this show at one point in time. But
Co-hosted what show?
This show. Like
Who? Ryan Phillips?
Yeah, for a couple days, like when one of you was out. But he was saying basically,
Where was the other one of us?
You were
'Cause
here.
I don't remember hosting with him.
I remember we interviewed.
I hosted with this guy.
Yes. And we were
Ryan
at,
Phillips.
Yes, and we were at Petco Park, and we did a Friar Friday interview with him. He was also here, and our countdown idea for that day was top 5 ways to beat the Heat. I remember that because he was from Indiana, and so he told us all about the Heat.
I'm looking at
Tony
Chris
wasn't
right
here.
now.
Tony wasn't here.
Just completely confused.
I'm a little confused that
Ryan
Chris
Phillips.
doesn't remember this. He's just pointing at me. But anyway, Ryan Phillips basically tweeted out, like, don't believe all the rumors you're seeing about Juan Soto because everybody is tweeting out their rumor right now, trying to get some traction. But Tony, when we are looking at these rumors, which reporters locally and nationally are you going to trust more often than not?
Huh?
What?
Give that to
like,
me.
okay, so basically when we're all sitting in the back studio and we're talking about the rumors of Juan Soto.
Right.
And I say, ex-national guy tweeted this out. Like, which reporters do you believe there is some truth to that, to the rumor?
I'm going to stick with the ones that I normally stick with. National, we're just talking about reporters in general.
Reporters in general. Well, we can keep it
if
national.
Dennis Lynn hits up the Twitter, I'm going to believe it. If Kevin Acey writes something, I'm going to believe it.
AJ Cassavell.
Jeff Sanders. That's just locally. I mean, nationally, I think the obvious one is my man for ESPN. His name is evading me right now. Who breaks the news for ESPN?
Alden Gonzalez?
Alden for sure, but
Buster Olney?
Nope, but Buster too. There's
Jeff Passan.
Jeff Passan. There you go. Yeah, those standards. Those are the ones I'm usually looking for to confirm something before I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is real.
I only believe somebody who's been on this program. So John Heyman, and that's it.
There you go. Johnny too.
Johnny Heyman.
Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
Number 4.
Clemson coach Dabo Swinney doubled down yesterday, or at least today. Sorry, I thought it was yesterday, but he had an emphatic monologue on his radio show. And he was saying that too many fans had grown unappreciative of winning and insisting he would not allow the criticism surrounding the Tigers' 4-4 start to quote unquote steal my joy. So in Clemson, I think that's South Carolina, but in South Carolina, he has a radio show and fans are allowed to call in and ask him questions.
It is in South Carolina.
Thank you. They're allowed to call in and ask him questions. So a fan called in and went on like some 4-minute thing about how Clemson's ruining his life. But here's what Dabo said back to that fan.
What's wrong? Hey, Tyler, I've listened to enough for you, Tyler. Listen, you can have all your opinions that you want. All right, I don't know how old you are. Don't really care. All right, but let me tell you something. We won 11 games last year, and you're part of the problem, to be honest with you, because that is part of the problem. It's people like you that do that. All you do is the appreciation. The expectation is greater than the appreciation, and that's the problem. And so, we've won 12 10-plus win seasons in a row. That's happened 3 times in 150 years. So if you want to know why, Clemson ain't sniffed a national championship for 35 years. We've won 2 in 7 years. And there's only 2 other teams that can say that, Georgia and Alabama. Okay?
So Dabo got to say what every coach wanted to say to every fan out there that's criticizing their team. But Chris, you're up first here. Rate this radio response.
20
out of 10.
Yeah. I could not agree with him more. I mean, I've said the same thing for, so many years with so many different coaches, they have unbelievable success, and then people lose their minds because they lose a few games. And again, I'm going to go to this Brady Hoke thing. I know that you all can't stand the Aztecs, and I know that you all want a new coach, but the guys won a lot of games for you. This is a bad season. It's okay. Clemson's having for them a bad season. They could lose to Notre Dame this week. They'd be 4-5. That's unheard of for Clemson, but 12, 10-win seasons in a row. I mean, what did you want? The guy's one of the best coaches in the history of college football. So, yeah, 20.
20. Tony, rate that radio response. Rate
that radio response.
Easy for you to say.
Rate that radio response.
We're going 20.
Wow, not even a 21, just a 20.
Just a 20.
Right,
I think Chris is right. I think as fans, I think we sometimes lose sight of what all is happening, right? Because no team wins every year and has the season every year. So there's got to be room in there for a little bit of disappointment. But especially in today's world in sports, it does seem like the expectation, what was the word he used? Expectation outweighs
the appreciation. Yeah, he's right.
And
he is right.
Clemson, prior to this last run, I mean, was a good program, but not anywhere near an Alabama or Georgia, which they are now. And so I think he makes a lot of good points. And listen, I'm sure this isn't the first fan he's had to listen. This is week whatever in college football. So
yeah, week
he's
8,
been taking these calls
all year
long. And it's not like he just was fed up of hearing the negativity. And he finally gave a fan. And it's probably rare that he goes as far as he did, but he did.
He sure did. Appreciation, Dabo.
Number 3.
Raiders wide receiver.
Number 3. We're in big trouble.
We started a little late. Raiders wide receiver Devontae Adams said after Monday night's 26-14 loss to the Lions that he, quote-unquote, truly didn't know what to say about the team's dismal offensive performance, before adding that frustration was one of the main things he was feeling. There's also a sideline clip of him slamming down his helmet, asking, "What the bleep are we doing?" Josh Jacobs didn't have too much more to offer, and it wasn't any better.
Josh was
maybe
more
was
straight
worse.
to it.
Jacobs scored the team's only offensive touchdown last night, and he was asked what the Raiders need to do to get the offense going after the game. He said, quote, "I don't know. It ain't my job," end quote. That was from Bridget Condon of NFL Media. Tony, firing Josh McDaniels is not an option, it seems, but how do the Raiders fix this discord?
I think we know the answer to that. I think Chris is probably going to hit on it better than I can. You have some talent on that team, actually. But outside of Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs, and Devontae Adams, outside of those guys, man, it's just not going well. And I think, as it always does, you turn your attention to said head coach, and you start to evaluate that. How many years is this for Mike McDaniels now? Third?
Josh McDaniels?
So
I think it's the second,
Josh.
maybe.
He's so bad.
Let me
He
see.
is so
It's
bad.
got to be more than 2.
I mean, if he's been more than 2, then that is a highly forgettable head coaching tenure.
1 catch for 11 yards, Devontae Adams.
He was the
That
coach
is
right after Chucky, right?
awful.
Yes, because they had Bisaccia, who was
He filled in for Gruden.
No, it was only last year.
Wow. So it feels like he's been there for like 3 or 4 years already.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the problem.
That is a problem
Right.
because everybody already is like complaining about him. Chris, go ahead.
I have nothing more to say about Josh McDaniels. He's terrible.
Well, you can't fire him, so how do they fix it if you're not going to fire the coach?
Then you got to change ownership and get an owner who will fire the coach.
Okay, that's not going to work either. Can you work a little bit harder?
They're not going anywhere until they get a new coach. I'm sorry, Raider fans. You're not going anywhere until you get a new coach. That's it. Plain and simple. Doesn't matter what players you bring in. A new quarterback wouldn't hurt either after what I saw last night.
Yeah, you think Jimmy G's – I think, did he sign more than a 1-year deal?
Man, was he bad.
I mean, that can't be all
he
on
was
him,
rough.
though.
No.
Yes, it can. When Devontae Adams is running 7 yards behind people and he's overthrowing him by 10 yards.
And not just overthrowing him.
That's pathetic for an NFL quarterback.
The second one was overthrown like out of bounds. Like
I
he didn't
know.
even give him a chance.
Wouldn't have mattered
to
if
catch
he'd have caught it.
All right.
Number 2.
How quickly we forget as sports fans. Coach Prime and the Buffaloes were the talk of the college football world, but now they have lost 4 of their last 5 games, and things are not going well for the offensive line. During Deion's post-game, he said that the line needs to be better, but people are really talking about what he said after. So here is the clip, and then we'll answer on the other side.
I think we committed to it on a first down.
Where
It was 2nd and 15. Those are the type of things you don't want to do and get behind the 8 ball. First downs are so vital. First downs are everything. I mean, first downs are when we held them statistically on first downs, it was hard for them to move the ball as well. And when we're getting negative yards on first down, that's a tremendous loss. Because now you're going to throw the ball on second down, and they're calling their defenses pertaining to that loss.
I just asked that in terms of the big picture, trying to keep Shador upright, healthy, and overall.
The big picture, you go get new linemen. That's the picture. I'm a painter.
So you heard that. You hear the end of the hour music. And I'm going to ask the guys on the other side if Deion went too far this time by saying, you go get some new linemen. People are a little upset that he's treating this like the professional ranks.
Oh, they're getting paid, so deal
Not
with
all
it.
of them, though.
A lot of them are.
Sunglasses,
and they got a bunch of stuff stolen from the locker.
Rolls Royces, watches, gold chains.
Yeah.
Shador
Block
Sanders
somebody.
is in a KFC commercial.
Block
He's
somebody.
not the only one.
I'll get somebody in there who can.
I
Deion.
can't. You guys are so blind to what Deion is doing.
More Gwynn and Chris on the other side.
Heading into the happy hour, welcome back to it. Gwynn and Chris on 97.3 The Fan. Happy Halloween to everybody. Be careful out there this evening. Have fun, but take care of each other. We are at 5:01, an hour to go on the program. World Series game number 4 gets started in just a few minutes down in Phoenix, and the Texas Rangers with a 2-1 series lead, but the news not good for Texas. Both Adolis Garcia and Max Scherzer will miss the rest of the series. Garcia and Scherzer both have been taken off the Rangers postseason roster. Garcia because of an oblique injury, and Scherzer because he got hit in the back with a bouncing line drive last night. Travis Jankowski will be in right field tonight, taking the place of Adolis Garcia. Love me some Travis Jankowski, Tony, but not too many guys that can really take the place of Adolis Garcia. This is a huge blow for Texas. We'll see if it factors in as the Diamondbacks try to even things up tonight. I mean,
no, that's as I said earlier, you're not going to replace Adolis Garcia. It's just it's too much production, and they don't have anybody on their roster like that.
No,
quite frankly,
not many people do.
No,
not many teams do. Except for the Padres. They've got like 6 guys like him, but that's neither here nor there. Speaking of the Padres, Bob Melvin was on the program earlier today. If you'd like to hear that interview in its entirety, go to our webpage, 973thefansd.com, or you can search for it, 97.3 The Fan on YouTube, and watch the stream of us interviewing Bo Mel. Me wearing my skipper hat and Skraby with his raccoon eyes. It's quite the sight to see here on Halloween.
Yes.
Some other news to pass along to you. Ohio State is the new #1 team in college football, followed by Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State. Those are the 4 that sit atop the first playoff rankings that were finally released this afternoon. Trade day in the NFL, and the 49ers got the biggest score of the day, I think, as they get pass rushing and Chase Young from the Washington Commanders in exchange for a lousy 3rd-round pick. I'm always amazed that you can get so much for so little.
Please.
Yeah,
at least in football, it makes sense, right? Because the older you get in football, you are certainly, unless you are like in a small group of people, you're going to have some decline.
Okay.
So it makes a tiny bit more sense in football than it does in the sport that we often cover.
But how many 3rd-round picks are even going to make it on an NFL roster? Yeah, to take the place of a guy like Chase Young. I don't always see that. But anyway, 49ers. Go ahead.
They were going to have to pay him a lot, and the 49ers
he's a free agent.
Yeah, 49ers are going to.
By the way, do the 49ers, are they still under the salary cap? My goodness.
No,
with McCaffrey and Samuel and
I don't know that he makes a lot of money.
And Trent Williams and now Young added to Bosa and everybody, the 49ers have got to be getting close to the cap, whatever it is.
What we've seen from teams in the last few years is realize that when they're this close, you go for it. We saw the Rams do it.
No, I get it.
And they're paying for it now. But as you've brought up on a number of occasions, are you willing to trade that one ring for 4 or 5 years of
yes?
Yeah, and I think that's what the Niners are banking on, is that they're going to go for it.
They're
going to
go for it
because the window's open. You're not going to probably re-sign Young at the end of the year, and you already got Bosa lined up. You already paid McCaffrey, so I mean I understand it, but the picks just they don't make it doesn't make a ton of sense.
You know what doesn't make sense either is like the Bucks right now. I'm looking at all the different cap spaces, and the 49ers actually have the #1 cap space in football right now. With $40 million.
They have that space.
They have that available. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the lowest. They only have like $4.3 million or something.
Well, they're still paying for their Super Bowl that they won 4 years ago.
The 2 teams at the top, and then you have the 3rd team, which is the Packers. The Bucks are paying $77 million in dead money this year, which meaning guys that aren't on the team anymore that they're still playing. The Rams have $75 million. The Packers have $63 million. Eagles are in a little bit of trouble with $59.9 million.
The Eagles are in the same.
The Eagles are in a little bit of trouble. They're 7-1. What kind of trouble are they in?
They're gonna take whatever cost.
Are they going to start taking wins away from them because they have a lot of dead money?
He just wanted to take a shot at the Eagles.
I'm so glad the Eagles beat the Niners in the championship game last year.
I'm so glad that
they have to beat them again. I'll have to root for the Eagles.
They may
again.
not have to beat them after they lost 3 straight. They're going to have the Niners road to the.
Well, right now the 49ers aren't even a first place team, so I don't even know why we're wasting time talking about them.
It's the Seahawks that own that division, baby.
That's the way it is at the moment. Yes,
they are.
I won't even.
Welcome to your own division. You don't even know.
No,
who's
I
in
won't
first
even
place.
look because I don't want to see them in second place.
Russell Wilson isn't there. They're still beating y'all behind.
Russell Wilson has a lot to worry about where he's at.
Haven't talked too much NBA today. It's a quiet day night in the association. There are 3 games, but the big news: James Harden was indeed traded to the Los Angeles Clippers.
Oh, let's just give him whatever he wants.
Yeah, like I said to Tony earlier, I mean, you've got the James Harden, his history. You've got the Clippers' history. What could go wrong?
I just think, I mean, not only that,
see.
You trade Russell Westbrook has finally gotten
comfortable.
He's
doing. Now you're bringing Harden.
Now you're bringing Harden, who it didn't work in Houston together, and now you got.
They both want the ball or need the ball, don't they?
Yeah, it just.
I don't think the Clippers are too. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work too well for the Clippers. We'll see. I'm not going to root for James Harden. It's pretty hard to root for him at this point. For Philadelphia, if you're wondering, by the way, ended up with quite a package of players, including Batum, who's I think great shooter. I think Marquise Morris.
Yep.
There's 2 or 3 other guys in there, but
first round, 2 second-round picks.
A lot going to Philadelphia in this deal, and
my guess is that is a precursor for the Philadelphia 76ers to do something else with those players.
Very good possibility. All right. Skraby has to finish up a big 5, so we'll send it back over his way here.
Oh, thank you very much,
After
Chris.
that
We're sending
update.
it back over here. If you want to join us in the cameras, 97.3 The Fan on YouTube or 97.3 The Fan SD on Twitter as well. Facebook, our 97.3 The Fan page. You can see Chris in his hat, and you can see me in my cool ghost makeup. Now,
he keeps trying to get us to think it's ghost makeup, but it's not working.
Did you like how I had it with like a little bit of flair in my voice, like my cool ghost makeup? You know who I need to be? I wanted to be this guy for Halloween, but Victor Wembanyama did it instead. But Victor Wembanyama dressed up as Slender Man.
He's pretty good, too.
Which is amazing because he looks like Slender Man. It's very creepy.
Is Slender Man a thing?
Slender Man is a made up it's a made up creepypasta character that's like kind of steals. I'm just gonna stop right there if there's any kids listening before I tell them what it's all about. But he's like really tall, he's got super long arms, he's got super long legs.
Okay.
And so Victor Wembanyama looks exactly like Slender Man. All right, back to Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes, and we heard what he had to say. He said that he would like to get new linemen to start figuring out a running game and keeping his son Shedeur Sanders up. So, Chris, do you think Coach Prime acting like this is the NFL is a little too far?
I don't.
You guys are so blind to this.
I could be blind, but I love Coach Prime, and I love what he's trying to do in Colorado. He's the only coach that I know of, and I don't want to say the only, but I think he's the only one who's just honest what this is all about. Yeah. And Tony will say the same thing. I mean, these coaches all treat this like it's professional. Now the players get paid like it's professional. So why should Dion mix words? Talk about the student athletes. We already know that there's a few student athletes, guys that really want to be students and football players. But most of them they're just there to make money now and play football. It's okay. I don't have a problem with it. Just deal with it as if that's the case. And Dion's one of the guys who does. I find it refreshing.
It's such a good point because we have all tried. I mean, even I was in college in 2000 to 2003. And even then, like, we try to continue to fool ourselves that it's, student athletes. Come on. And now it's made, the case is made even harder. It's harder to make the case that student athletes are student athletes, especially the sports that we're often talking about. Now, you talking some of the other sports, absolutely. They don't get the same benefits that football, basketball. Really, those are the 2 sports in college that have a big benefit. And listen, if you listen to that whole thing with Dion and the reporter, he tried to go the nice way and point out individual. He tried to point out the team version, but then my man came back with the follow-up question, and he just got right to the point. which is I got to get new offensive linemen. The fact is, even if the quarterback wasn't his son, he still would be leading the country in touches or getting sacked, getting touched, getting pushed to the ground, whatever the case may be. And ultimately, if the Buffaloes are going to be as good as Dion thinks they're going to be, the offensive line
they need to start pushing some people around.
Exactly. They are, I think, one of the worst, not only in giving up sacks, but they can't run the ball. So as he was explaining, you're one-dimensional. Guess what? Teams are going to peel their ears back, not worry about the run, and go right after the quarterback.
Does it concern you at all that these kids have like academic credits and maybe trying to go for a major, and they're also playing football at the same time, and maybe that they're there for school and not
there you
to be
go,
a
trying to make it seem
player?
like you're student athletes
you want to keep trying to convince
there
yourself
are, like
of
you
that.
said, there are some that are student athletes.
Yeah,
not all of them are making
Listen,
money.
when you sign up to go play top level football, really any of the sports, you are subject to getting criticized when you don't do your job.
I feel so ridiculous making these arguments.
Skraby likes to live in a world.
Skraby
likes to live in a world where everybody gets a trophy.
No, that's
and
not true.
participating is really cool.
No.
And the ninth kid on the bench is a great guy. They're all great, but you know what? Eventually, you got to treat it like it is if you're going to play major college football.
Tells me what I am when that's not what I am.
It feels
I'm
like
not
you
a
are
participation trophy. No,
kid.
I'm very against participation trophies.
You
because
sound like you're not. You sound like you're sticking up for the feelings of every single person out there.
Yeah, but you don't go, oh, time to find some new linemen.
So are you taking that literally? Like, so next week these linemen are going to not be there?
I can't predict what this team is going to do.
You can, because you can't. How are they going to get kids in a week to just put in the offensive line?
I don't know. Those other poor kids who have given their heart and soul are going to be out in the street. Hey, you know what, Dion?
They're not going to be on the street. They're going to play for San Diego State. They'll transfer.
Hey, you know what, Coach Prime?
We'll take them.
Why don't you take your time that you're spending on the transfer portal searching for players and actually coach the players up maybe a little bit and make them a little bit better?
Right. Well, you just keep trying to be anti-Coach Prime. But here's the problem that you're going to have, Skraby. He's going to be like competing for national championships in the next few years, and you're going to have to wear this over and over and over again.
I can't wait to dunk
because Tony and I are not going to forget.
I'm not saying Dion's a bad coach. I'm just saying
you just did. You just did. You say, how about coaching up the players you have?
No, I didn't say that he is a bad coach. I'm just saying spend your time coaching the players instead of trying to find new ones.
Let me get this right. After the game, he hops on the portal, searches the portal.
Yeah, it's an app. I'm sure it's an app on his phone.
From Sunday to Friday, and then he coaches again. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, he just sits there on the app while he's doing his morning routine. He's trying to find new kids, and it's just
how about you give Dion a little slack? The guy's missing 2 toes. What's the matter with you?
Not my fault.
He's already improved this season. They won 1 game last year.
He's still faster than me, so with 2 less toes. Whoops. That was fine. Kim Kardashian has a women's underwear line.
Kim Kardashian made the big 5?
Yeah. It's an underwear line called Skims, and last week she launched Skims Men, which has like Nick Bosa modeling it, Neymar Jr. modeling it, and then there's an NBA guy who modeled it. I don't know who he is, but Kim Kardashian, she announced her underwear brand is now the official underwear partner of the NBA, WNBA, and Team USA basketball. Yes, all of those together are gearing up to leverage. She is gearing up to leverage the power of sports to generate some demand around her new Skims lines. And the NBA and WNBA is going to help her do that. Fans can expect to see some footprint very soon at key marquee events, including the NBA All-Star Game and the NBA in-season tournament. Tony, does the NBA need Kim Kardashian's underwear as an official sponsor?
Do they need it? I'm sure they don't, but this is good business, seems like, on both sides. I think maybe they could have possibly have taken a page out of the NFL dealing with Miss Swift. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes some sense, right? I mean, for Kim Kardashian is a great, you can say what you want about her. This is a high business, high level business.
Stop talking right now.
I mean, you go from, having your stuff in Nordstrom's and some of the bigger, now you got it in the NBA, WNBA. What was the other team?
Team USA basketball.
And Team USA basketball.
Or USA basketball.
Locker room. So, I mean, this is just good business.
Chris?
I feel like I want to get my wife on the show so she can comment because she knows everything about Kim Kardashian.
Really?
And watches the Kardashian show regularly and has for maybe 20 years now.
Wow.
Anything that'll help poor Kim Kardashian make a little more money is fine by me.
Yeah, she's pretty poor these days.
Yeah, she's hurting.
Yeah.
Tony hit it pretty good, so I'll leave it at that.
That's it for the Big Five.
Oh, finally.
Yeah.
It's over.
2 segs.
Yeah, nice workman.
Well, it was like the last 6 minutes of this one.
Why is it always our fault?
Well, because
that's a good question. Skraby.
Working with you is like being
fault?
working with you is like being married. It's always my fault.
Well, remember the time,
Seems
Tony?
very, very similar feeling I have when I'm at home and when I'm at work.
I can relate.
How
Yeah,
many
I don't
times,
get
Tony,
this.
do we sit here, or at least I sit here and stare at you waiting for Chris to go to the next
Are you
segment?
dragging me into this now?
Yeah, because I'm thinking about Chris versus the fans last week, or we had an entire segment at the end. He goes,
Okay, I'll give you that one. Chris forgot. He owned that. This one I don't recall being anybody's fault, though. I think you might have got into it a little late.
And whose problem is that?
Yours.
I don't direct us what time to get there.
Pick up the pace.
Pick up the pace. All right, Captain.
Check traffic and then come back. More Gwynn and Chris. Bob Melvin interviews coming up soon. Stick around.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Air Max San Diego.
aka the ghost of Brock Purdy / raccoon / panda. Whatever you see in your camera. Because I don't know exactly what
Nobody sees a ghost of Brock Purdy, I'll tell you that.
Should I drive home with the face paint on? Would that be funny?
Speaking of driving home with the face paint, on one of the best videos going right now is my man who's dressed up as Michael Myers in the car, pulling up to people and just like staring at them. And everybody is terrified when they look out of the window.
My man at 7-Eleven had the Michael Myers mask on today.
You know, there was a couple years ago.
Us poor 7-Eleven shoppers.
Somebody was at the 76ers game with the Michael Myers on with a sign that said, "Bring Harden to me."
That's hilarious.
Of course, he was sitting like 3 rows back. And so Harden is just like staring at Michael Myers. Michael Myers staring back at him. It was kind of funny.
That is kind of funny.
Interesting.
I forgot what I was going to say. So
I did too.
Until Marte keeps his playoff hitting streak going.
No kidding. What's he got? 20 in a row?
20 in a row.
Yeah. Got thrown out stealing, though.
Then he got thrown out trying to get greedy.
No score, second inning.
Oh, I remember now. Should I drive home with my face paint, or do you think it's too weird?
I mean, what are you?
It's still you.
Well, I'm just gonna go wash it off in the bathroom before I leave. But if I'm driving home and I look at someone, I mean, it's Halloween, right?
Yeah, I think
it is kind of fun because we work in like a business park or whatever. And it's always fun seeing adults dress up really silly, like carrying their stuff into work. And there was a guy who was struggling with a bunch of like luggages, and he was like some sort of dinosaur, and his tail kept getting in the way. It was really funny. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Well, Skraby just loves other people's struggles. I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know about this guy.
Him.
How is that not funny to watch a guy struggling with his bags while his dinosaur tail is getting in the way?
Let me ask you, Skraby.
How is that not funny?
If the role was reversed,
yeah,
and you were struggling,
I'd be super frustrated.
Yeah, you absolutely.
But I would expect people to laugh.
No,
at
you would.
A dinosaur fighting his baggage.
You'd be ready to cut someone out if they were If you found that they were laughing at you, why you?
It's not very nice to laugh at me. Just a dinosaur.
It would sound a lot meaner than what you just sounded right there. I've seen you frustrated before.
Yes, you have.
Chris, I got to tell you, man, you made a point earlier in the show about, the ABS and the calls that we're seeing. We've already seen a couple bad ones here.
The automatic balls and strikes.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've grown up in this game and I've just learned to accept that there are going to be calls, and it doesn't change in the World Series either, because it's still human beings.
You'd like it to be changed in the World Series.
It doesn't.
I don't want the ABS. I don't want the automatic balls and strikes. I want to let human error play a part in it. I think, though, what I think is by watching the World Series last night and seeing Alfonso Marquez blow so many important balls and strike calls that had huge impact on the game, the more of that we see, the closer and closer we're going to get to it being a reality, because baseball is going to take note of the criticism it's getting in the high-profile games.
And that's why I hate social media sometimes.
Yeah.
Because my first thought when I started scrolling this morning and I see Jeff Passan's tweet about it being shameful or using these type of words that cause hysteria because the strike zone, he missed a couple of pitches that were late in the game. This is not any different than last year's World Series, every World Series. There are
probably
There are calls every year in the World Series.
Got to believe Steve Garvey had to shake off a bad call to get a double in the 1977 World Series against the Yankees. At least once.
I asked you guys to go back to the World Series in which Livan Hernandez for the Marlins is pitching to the Cleveland Indians at the time.
And throwing the ball 7 feet outside.
And 7 feet is not an exaggeration.
I've seen this footage. It's crazy.
And guess what? The World Series was still won, it was still played. We all still enjoyed it. But now the difference is, as you mentioned, social media reacts, and then you wonder if, as you said, Major League Baseball is paying attention or thinks it's valid enough to pursue.
1985 World Series was decided on a call that was horribly wrong at first base by Don Denkinger, famously.
That's right.
The Cardinals get the out. They win Game 6 and they win the World Series.
Yeah.
But they called the runner safe replays clearly showed the pitcher covering Todd Worrell had his foot squarely on the bag, like a second and a half before the runner got there. And they called him safe, and the Royals rallied, and they scored, and they won the next game with Denkinger, ironically, then moving to be behind home plate and catching the ire of Whitey Herzog and everybody who pitched that night for the Cardinals. But, yeah, the whole World Series was changed on one bad call. But you know what? That was 1985. We are here now, almost 40 years later. Baseball's still getting along just fine.
Moving along just fine.
Yeah, we're doing okay. So the Cardinals got jobbed out of that World Series. So what? It's all right with me.
It's the way it's. Now listen, when the ABS comes, as much as I don't want it, I'll adapt, just like I adapted to these clocks and everything else. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I just think it's stupid, it's pointless to have the hysteria of some bad calls when we've literally been watching World Series, all of us, since we've been born, and it's literally been the same every year since. And you enjoy it no less. As a matter of fact, when this series is over, I promise you won't hear anybody go back. Hey, man, you remember in Game 3 when Alfonso Marquez, or Game 4 when Alfonso Marquez couldn't get the calls right? Like, nobody's going to remember that.
But if it were this guy, we would.
Angel Hernandez is in
well,
midseason form.
Angel, unfortunately,
fortunately, Major League Baseball hasn't lost its mind that much.
No doubt about it. Let's get to break. When we come back, our interview of the day, Bo Mel joined us earlier. You'll get a chance to hear it more. Gwynn and Chris.
The biggest guests in San Diego sports talk appear on 97.
Of World Series game number 4, Texas Rangers have taken a 1-0 lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Josh Young, the rookie, with a double, went to third on a ground ball, scored on a wild pitch by reliever Miguel Castro. Travis Jankowski's come up with a 2-out knock.
Do it, Freddie.
He's filling in for Adolis Garcia, who is off the Rangers roster for the rest of this series. Texas will have to try and overcome that if they want to win their first ever world title. But they do have a 2-1 lead in the series and a 1-0 lead right now in game number 4. All right, earlier today we had Bob Melvin on the show, and the former skipper of the Padres, now the skipper of the Giants, discussing things over with Tony Gwynn Jr., wanted to come on the show, wanted to talk to you fans. Kind of on the way out the door, we did hold his feet to the fire with some questions, and you'll hear his answers in just a few minutes coming up here on the program. But I am proud of my partner right now, because not only does he have, and if you're watching on the stream, you can see he's looking over his left shoulder often, because that's where we're watching the World Series. But he's also, from time to time, looking over his right shoulder and watching a Kings hockey game. Tony, I'm so proud of you watching a little puck.
Hey, I told you at the beginning of the hockey season I was going to be dialed in a little bit more than I usually am. I want to get into it.
Well,
there was a time where I thought I was going to be a goalie.
You?
Yes.
Wait.
I didn't tell you guys. My dad.
Can you skate?
I could roller skate.
Okay.
So
all
that's
right.
where it started. My dad bought me, because I was in '93 when the Kings went to the Stanley Cup final. I was in love with hockey, and so he bought me like all of the hockey gear. I had the pads, had the whole thing.
Got it all.
So we'd set up in the living room, and he'd fire shots.
Would he fire
at me.
shots at you? Was he a left-handed
In
shot?
the living room? That's great.
Left-handed shot.
When did your mom catch on and put an end to
What
that?
was he actually shooting at you? A plastic puck or a tennis ball?
Plastic, some type of plastic type of wiffle ball type deal.
All right.
I had the whole goalie glove. I had everything, man.
Yeah.
And in the house, I didn't have to have skates. I could just wear it on like
somewhere.
my
There
shoes.
has to be a picture of this.
I hope not.
That we've got to get posted online somehow.
Tony taking a
Tony Gwynn
wiffle ball to the
Jr. in
face.
full goaltender gear.
I was wild when it came to sports inside the house.
Love that.
So
Tony.
one of the other things I might have told you guys this story. So you guys, if you show up to any baseball game early enough, you'll see the grounds crew spraying the infield dirt.
Yes, getting it all wet.
It was like the most fascinating thing to me as a young kid ever.
Okay.
And so I like the idea of it. So I get home, and the little hairspray bottles, I'd fill them up with water and spray the carpet.
Spray the carpet.
Oh my gosh.
Not knowing of mildew or any of that type of stuff. I was just thinking, it'll make it smooth when I slide.
Okay.
In the
house.
Yeah.
In the house.
That's what I was thinking.
Sure.
This is all
Great idea.
fun. But when did your mom catch on to this?
She saw me spraying it. Like most of the time I sprayed
How
it.
have you survived this life with your neck intact?
Yeah.
Knowing your mom,
I almost got
Alicia, would be wringing your neck if she saw you do this.
I got it run a couple times.
Okay.
But I figured out it probably wasn't the best idea to be spraying water on the
That's a good
carpets
one.
after a while.
That is a good one. Marcus Semien just hit a 2-run triple down the left field line. 2 runs come in, obviously, on a 2-run triple. So
I didn't know
Texas, be quiet. Texas has taken a 3-0 lead over Arizona. Rangers still batting in the top of the second inning. This is bad news for Arizona, because Texas is not only 9-0 on the road this year.
They haven't lost when they score
But
first.
they're
right?
also 9-0 when they score first.
Yeah.
So Arizona's going to have to come from behind tonight. 3-0 Rangers top at 2. All right, Bob Melvin on the program earlier today. A lot of discussion about this interview. If you missed it, here's your chance right after we check traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, guys, it really concerns me that there are all these accidents. It shows that folks are just not paying close enough attention. And there's going to be trick-or-treaters out shortly, so you definitely want to be alert on the roads. Hopefully everyone's getting home, getting settled in, because this is just a little disturbing. Crash on the westbound side of the 52 right before Regents Road, not showing if lanes are blocked. And guess what? On the other side, another accident. This is East 8 just past Regents Road. Motorcycle involved in this one. Eastbound side of the 8 at the 163, an accident blocking the fast lane. You're also going to find on the southbound side of the 15 just past the 8 collision, not showing if lanes are blocked. Up ahead, just before University, we're getting reports of a large pole in the 2 left lanes, then a crash up ahead right before Adams Avenue. Looks like that is blocking lanes. Still clearing exits up on 805 just past Mesa College. I'm Kelly Danick. Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's jump to the phone line. Joining us on Gwynn and Chris is current Giant manager, Bob Melvin. Bo Mel, how are you today?
All right, how are you guys?
We are well. I'll get right to it, Bo. I know, having got a chance to work with you over the last couple years and listening to your comments since you've taken the new job, you're not into the business of mudslinging. So I'll just ask you, in terms of the Giants, what made that a better fit for you?
Yeah, well, you're right about the mudslinging thing, and I feel awful about how that ended in San Diego, first of all. So look, it's a lot was made at the end of the year. Certainly there was a lot of drama surrounding the situation. We tried to work through it, thought we did there toward the end, and then got together and had a meeting at spring training a few days after the season. AJ told me that the Giants had called, and what did I want to do? So, I tabled it really and just wanted to talk about our situation going forward. I wanted to see it through. And as you know, I was committed to the Padres, and, we started talking about some things that, were issues, to get to the point where we were at the time. And, it just didn't seem like it was going to get much better. It felt like, that the drama and the narrative that ended the season really just wasn't going to go away. And I don't think it was fair to the organization. I don't think it was fair to the team. I don't think it was fair to fans, anybody, because if you go into the next season and, something goes wrong and now it's going to pop up again, it just didn't feel like there was an end to it. So as we discussed it a little bit further, it just felt like maybe the best thing to do for everybody was listen to the Giants. And once I did, I was lucky enough to land somebody somewhere else, because there's only so many of these jobs, and being able to go home obviously had something to do with it.
Bob, what did you think about the way this whole thing kind of transpired? I mean, as it was happening and you were right in the midst of it all, was it something you kind of wish you could have changed that was happening, but there was no real way of controlling it all?
No, you're right. And it seemed like it got worse and worse when really, inside it wasn't as bad as it seemed. And look, I wouldn't trade my time in San Diego for anything. There are days on the baseball field, in the last couple of years that were my favorite, as much as a few of my favorite ever. So it just felt like it was going to hard to get past what was being reported, and not being reported just from one, outlet, but it seemed like more and more as it went along.
Bob Melvin is with us, and he's now the manager of the Giants. It had to be a difficult season to manage the Padres. As you look back over this season, was there anything you would have done differently this year? Any changes you would have made that, I don't know, you've got to second guess a few hundred things, I would imagine, after a season like this goes the way it did.
Yeah, well, it's easy to do now. It's real time that it's real time that it kind of got away from us a little bit, but obviously, and that was part of this whole thing, right? The magnitude of it was, the expectations of the team and who the personnel that we had going into that season. So, that had a lot to do with it. Was, everybody felt like we were supposed to be in a much better place, and as the season went along, we just couldn't get out of it. And, so everybody felt bad about where the team ended up.
Bo, you've been in two like opposite end of the spectrum situations in terms of roster with Oakland and then in San Diego. Do you take anything from your experience dealing with a roster of the likes that you had here in San Diego that you think will help you moving forward?
I think you try to take a little bit of everything and learn from every situation that you're in, and definitely that. But the year before, as bad as last year was, the year before was, it was fantastic. And one of the reasons I wanted to come on and I wanted to talk to you guys was to let everybody know and thank everybody for my time in San Diego. I mean, the people that covered, myself and the team, certainly the fans there. And I used to go out to the dugout 25 minutes before the game, half hour, 25 more minutes before the game, just so I could take in the scene every day. It was one of my favorite things about being in San Diego, was going out there, looking out at Gallagher Square. It's already packed, looking up, in the upper deck in left field and seeing that, people were starting to sit down there and knowing it was just going to be another scene, another event, that the fans were just so supportive of that team. And you really didn't want to get immune to that or callous to it. So I used to do that every day. And then, obviously one of the great days of my baseball career was, when we beat the Dodgers, the reaction of the fans in the stands and around town and everything that day. And, Manny's reaction and everybody's reaction in the dugout, so forth. So as bad as it seemed in 23, 22 was really, really special. And you kind of have to balance that when you realize, now I'm moving on to another chapter in my career. And the San Diego one, even though it didn't end great, was very special.
Bob Melvin is with us, formerly the manager of the Padres, and so many things have been written and so many things have been said out there, Bo Mel. And, there's been reports even resurfaced that you didn't like Juan Soto on the team. And then we heard reports about Josh Hader only wanted to pitch certain innings. Was this a difficult team to manage, or are these reports just a little bit haywire?
You know what? I really don't want to get into narratives. And look, Juan Soto, I talked to Juan a few days ago. Soto knows how I feel about him. I know how Juan feels about me. And those are the most important things. And, as far as Josh goes, we communicated a lot over the course of his time there. And, Josh and I are in a good place too. So, if you answer one question, then it's going to lead to another one and another one and another one. And it just doesn't feel like the timing for it is now.
One thing that's crazy is that the Giants opened the season in San Diego. Did you?
I noticed that.
Did you notice that?
I did here recently.
How many millions of emotions do you think that's going to bring with it when you check into San Diego for that game?
Hey, I'm still trying to get through this process right now. I mean, saying goodbye to so many good people, in the San Diego, whether it's the players, whether it's the people that supported me from above. Peter Seidler is a fantastic man. Eric Rupner was so good to me in that organization. AJ and I like AJ. He likes me. We just had some differences as far as, baseball philosophies were. But the players, all the players, and if I mention one, I need to mention them all. They were fantastic to me. So, look, I'm just trying to not be too overwhelmed with what's going on now to think about what opening day is going to feel like. But I did notice it when I looked at the schedule.
Bob, we really appreciate the time. Just going out, something you just want to, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but speaking to the fans, that's why you wanted to come on. We wanted to give you the platform to come on and try to clear the air a little bit. It seems to me you've done that. You've addressed everything without getting too specific about all of this stuff, which we don't really need to know. But just kind of on your way out the door, kind of a last parting word, and then we'll start rooting against you. That's all.
No, look, whoever gets to manage this team, San Diego, going forward, is going to be blessed. It's a fantastic team and amongst a fan base like no other. And just being in San Diego and experiencing San Diego, man, what a joy that was. And I got to be around guys, the Hall of Fame guys, Trevor Hoffman and, baseball royalty, Tony Gwynn Jr. and his family. And, it just, there's so many things to love about San Diego. And like I said, I wouldn't trade it for anything else. So another chapter going forward, but just kind of wanted to clarify what I was thinking, kind of where I was at, and so appreciative to everything that transpired there.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Bob. It was fun working with you the last couple of years. You've been nothing but great to us, and we do wish you the best in San Francisco. I'm just kidding, and we'll see you on opening day, if not before.
Thank you, Bo.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. There he goes, Bob Melvin, now the manager of the San Francisco Giants. Yes, indeed. Good having Bo Mel on the program today. There you have what he had to say. We'll let you digest a little of that, and we can kick it around a little. Well, no. Tony and I put a moratorium.
That's it.
That's it. Done. Bob Melvin is out the door. Time to move on. Look on to the next manager whenever that may happen.
I tell you what, in terms of the World Series, if Texas wins, you and I talked about it, Corey Seager is
already
going to get a second World Series MVP.
Wait, he just hit a 2-run homer. It's 5-0 Texas now.
That means that Rob Manfred will have to interview Corey Seager on the field. And last time Rob Manfred was drunk, and he was like, Corey,
he was not
you won the
drunk.
World Series. I can't wait for
Do you
that.
have that sound?
I
remember you
should.
playing it at
Many
one
times.
point.
Loved playing it. You
Okay, we
played it
have a couple
1,000
minutes. I'm going to
times.
find it.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if anybody's won 2 World Series MVPs. Bob Gibson did in 1964 and 1967 for the Cardinals. But there's not Reggie Jackson won a pair.
Yep.
1973 with Oakland, 1977 with the Yankees.
Yeah, you got to get there. It's the
You got to
hardest part.
get there. That's the hard part. Yeah, but winning 2 World Series MVPs, that's a pretty short list. And Corey Seager, he can almost start putting his name on it. I mean, he's won 1, and what's he hit? 3 home runs in this series. Game tying home run in game 1. Hit basically what was the difference maker in the game last night.
Game 3.
And now in game 4, he's hit a 2-run homer to put the game out of reach a little bit. 5-0 in favor of Texas. So, yeah, Corey Seager only hit 2 home runs when he won the World Series MVP last time. He's coming up on it. He's already got 3.
Yeah, he's got 3.
in
There's
this
still
series.
time, too.
George Springer had 5 home runs in the 2017 World
You don't
Series.
remember that? It was like
No.
every time he came to the plate,
5
it seemed like he
home
was
runs.
going
That's
deep.
Reggie Jackson territory.
Yeah.
I didn't know George Springer had that. No one's ever hit 6 in one World Series.
Oh, sorry, my mic
What,
was
what are you laughing
Are
at? over
you
there?
I found
able
it.
to find
I
it, Matt
found it. I found
Skraby?
it. Here is Rob Manfred 2020 giving Corey Seager the MVP trophy for the World Series.
You led the Dodgers to a World Series victory, and it's my pleasure to recognize your great
Corey
play
Seager's trying so
with the
hard not to
Willie
laugh.
Mays Most Valuable Player Award presented by Chevrolet.
I forgot how bad this sounded.
I stuck up for him at the time, but it's pretty bad.
I mean,
I think it was the
echo in the
right?
microphone.
Okay.
I still refuse to believe he was actually drunk. But if you listen to that, it does
like
sound.
He's still trying to say Chevrolet.
He either was drunk, the echo was killing him, or he had a stroke. It was one of the 3.
Yeah,
All right.
he was like Chevrolet.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, good
Thanks to
day.
Bob Melvin for being with us, Marcus McNeil being with us, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby. It's Chris. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy a safe Halloween the rest of tonight.
Bye.